Hey y'all, I know it takes a little while for this thing to kind of like pick up the right way. Hello. I know it's been such a long time since I've actually since I've gone live. I used to go live all the time. I don't go live anymore because I'm so freaking busy all the time. Emma Ray, I miss you. I miss so many people because I don't feel like I'm ever around anymore because life. Isabella, how are you, my love? I haven't spoken to you in a long time either. Hello, ma'am. Kathleen, Ursula, how are y'all? Trying to get my life together here. I feel like I should have got myself drinks, a drink and snacks, but I didn't do that. Um, it's just been an extremely long day. So yeah, there's that. Hello. Hello. Um, Hold on. Chris. Yeah, that's what I said too. Drinks and snacks is a good idea. I just have not. I made um I made dinner tonight and it y'all ever cook and then be like so tired and not even hungry after you cook? Like that's me. That's usually how I operate. That is how I operate. Yeah, Isabella, you do have to go back to school. So um what are we doing for your 21st birthday? How are we celebrating? Hold on, y'all. I'm about to. Bethany's going to join me. So give me a second. Let me send her the link. I'm going to DM it to her on Insta. Give me 1 second. I wish I. Do. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, let me get back. Okay. Totally forgotten about this live. Yeah. Yeah, I low-key forgot about my own live too, so don't feel bad. I low-key forgot about it. And then I was like, I have a live tonight. Ooh, Emma Ray, blood orange, Sang Pellegrino, and coffee cake. That's a heck of a of a snack. Hey Sarah. Yanni. I ain't talked to you in a long time. A long time. Okay. Maybe me and Bethany can talk about this a little bit. I think that some of these books that end up on these lists, because I just did Cosmopolitan, just had a list that I reacted to. I think that with some of these lists, what you're seeing is books that kind of have crossover appeal. So there are probably going to be middle grade. I haven't seen this list, so this is my assumption. So I don't know. But based off of what I saw on the Cosmopolitan list, I'm guessing there's going to be some middle grade too, or what I would now classify as middle grade. And usually you have to think about when the bracket of YA came into existence. There's a lot of history behind that. the first YA novels, I mean, came out early in the 1900s, but they weren't really considered YA. I think when you start thinking of YA as an age bracket, honestly, The Outsiders is one of the most pivotal books for that age bracket, regardless of S.C. Hinton's very weird and strange feelings about um, graphic novels. She's a weird human. Um, it is what it is. But she is a huge part of that whole start an official recognizing of YA as an age bracket. Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, Ashley.
I should
How
have
are
just
you?
I should have DM'd you earlier this week and been like, "Hey, I'm finna do this thing. You want to hop on?" That would have made more sense
It's
than
okay. I mean, like, I just happened to be on Twitter and I was like, oh yeah, because I was like, oh, maybe if I have time, I'll go live and do reactions. And then I was like, oh, hey.
hey, hey. That's when I saw your tweet. I was like, "Come on, just hop on. You're not doing anything. Just hop on
No,
now."
yeah, no, this is fun.
Aaron, I miss you so much. I miss a lot of y'all. I'm really not on anything. My job, my job, my job, my job. It keeps me busy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We do need to catch up. We need to catch up. Hey Trin. Y'all, I really feel like so disconnected because I really have not haven't talked to some of y'all in a very, very long time. Okay, Moulin Rouge inspired. Speak easy. Oh, that's gonna be fun. Well, happy early birthday, Isabella. I remember turning 21. My golden birthday was my 21st birthday. I turned 21 on the 21st of September. Sarah, I don't know. So, have you seen this list yet, Bethany?
I was trying to avoid looking at it because
I did.
in case I decided to
Yeah.
react to it. So I
So,
haven't looked. I don't
I
know.
haven't looked. I don't know what's on this list. Um, the reaction that I just did this past week, like I said, was to Cosmopolitan, and then I got wind that
It's
time.
so funny because I had been thinking about doing this and then I saw that you posted that video and I was like, oh wow, that was fast. And then I was like,
No,
oh, because it was like
yeah,
right when it
it was
released.
right when it, yeah.
Yeah.
So I posted my video
Yeah.
right when Time announced that they had come up with the top 100. So
Yeah.
somebody had commented on my video and was like, "Oh, I thought this was a Time 100. I would like to see
Mhm.
you react to that." And I was like, I just don't feel like editing it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't want to edit. It's
It's long. It's a
it's
lot.
long. I've done 100 books before, reacting to like the 100 books you should read before you die,
Yeah.
and the editing on that is atrocious. So
Yeah. I did the Times 100 fantasy
yes, I was in your live chat for
and
that
that
one.
was live. I would not have
Yeah,
edited that. It
yeah,
was like way
yeah.
too much. No. Christopher, yes, like
What is it?
he's saying it's like when Ashley joined last minute to the Vivian. So like, yeah, we're all about
Yeah,
just like,
we're
hey, let's just
hey,
hop
what are
on.
you doing right now? If you're not busy, I'll send you the link.
Parent life. I mean,
That's it. That is it.
like
What are
this is
you
our
doing?
social life, you know?
As much socializing as we get.
Yeah,
That is so, but it's so true. When your parents is like, you get social time where you can get it in.
that's true.
You
Yeah.
do. Who said Bethany is weird?
Oh, thanks. No,
What?
I think she's kidding.
Just got home. Lydia, I feel for you. Summer's almost finished, okay?
Yeah,
We've almost made it to the finish
I
line.
know.
Every
I'm
librarian right now is like,
look,
go
and
back to school. I know you're ready.
oh, I'm so ready for school to start. Also, I'm so excited about BookNet Fest. I'm like a little nervous with the Delta variant, but I'm so
I'm
excited
so
about Book.
excited. I'm so excited too. I was talking to my mom. My mom I was like, because we were trying to figure out, because I have a wedding to go to
Mhm,
and then BookNet Fest. And we were trying to get the schedule together with the baby and everything.
mhm.
And I was like, Mom, I was like, really? Like I said, I'll be in Orlando like in a few weeks.
It's
She's like, yeah, that's
soon.
true. I was like, I'm
It's
so
really
ready
soon.
for it. I put in my PTO for work. I was like, peace out. Y'all leave me alone for those few days.
I'm so excited.
I'm
It's
so
gonna be
excited
great.
for
It's
it.
gonna be good.
All right. Are y'all ready? I'm gonna
Yeah,
miss
let's
a
do
whole bunch of
this.
comments. I always miss comments whenever we do this because it is what it is. It gets long and whatever. Oh,
Mhm.
what?
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
sorry, Shamla. I was like, huh? Shamla, you're a trip. You're
I
a
didn't know what
trip.
she was talking
Yeah, I
about.
didn't know
That's
what you were
funny.
talking about either.
Okay.
All right, so let me share my screen. Okay.
So I think
And
I saw that Jason Reynolds was part of the team they had for this.
oh, he was?
I think so. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Everybody can
Yeah.
see it?
I mean,
Yeah.
they got a good panel. I think this is a better panel than for fantasy, actually.
Is there a way for me to like see this screen and then like be able to like do comments at the same time, or is that like a no-go?
Um, I mean, if you can, you'll have to switch back and forth probably.
I
It's kind of,
probably
I know
will.
it's kind of a pain. You kind of, or do it in side by side windows, like if you
Okay.
separate out
Yeah,
your
I'm gonna separate it
windows.
out.
Yeah.
Okay. And then let's do this. Okay. And then this.
That's funny. Bethany said the magic name. Jason
It is a magic name. That's all, that's
Reynolds.
all I need to hear is
He's
Mr.
great.
Reynolds.
He is great.
Okay. So I like the artwork here. That's nice. All right. I hope they don't disappoint me. Okay, so the panel was Elizabeth Acevedo, Kason Calendar, Jenny Han, Jason Reynolds, Adam Silvera, Angie Thomas, and Nicola Yoon.
I mean, this is a better lineup than what they picked for fantasy.
It is a
I'm just
better
saying.
lineup than what they pick with fantasy. I just want to know why no one, here we go again, why no one who's done old school YA like Lori Halls Anderson, Sharon Draper is still alive, Jacqueline Woodson is still alive. Where, you know what I'm saying? No
Yeah.
shade. No shade on Elizabeth Acevedo, Kason Calendar, Jenny Han, Jason Reynolds, Adam Silvera, Angie Thomas, Nicola Yu. No shade at all. That's a stacked panel. But
Yeah. Like some people who've been around longer. I mean, that's true because like a lot of these authors have just started writing in the last
they
couple of years.
just started writing.
Other than like Nicola Yoon and Jenny Han, they've been writing for a while, I guess. But
Yeah, but like when you talk about OG,
yeah,
when I think YA OG, I definitely think, Lori Halls Anderson, Jacqueline Woodson, Sharon Draper, Mildred D. Taylor is still alive. I'm not tripping, right?
Tamora Pierce,
Tamora Pierce.
she's still
Hell
alive.
yes.
She's still
Hell
alive.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I think my I think my biggest issue sometimes with lists like these is that it becomes once again, in some ways I feel like it becomes like a popularity contest,
Mm-hmm.
and it should not be about popularity but the merit of the work, because there's going to
Right.
be some YA books that are not, especially older titles, that are not popular, but they are really the working meat behind the age bracket. So
Yeah. Well, I feel like they end up putting a lot of brand new books on these lists. Like a lot of them are
they
always like
do.
really
They
new.
do.
That's what they did with the fantasy one, and I was like, really? Some of these just came out last month. Greatest of all time. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, this is interesting. That's why these lists are never balanced. Some of them haven't even read the YA of the 2000s. I
yep.
know that
Mm-hmm.
I can attest and I can vouch for Jason.
Mm-hmm.
I can vouch for Jason, not because I am absolutely madly in love with the man. It not because of that, but I think that he is a very well balanced reader as well as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that he has been heavily influenced by people like oh gosh, why can't I remember Walter Dean Myers? Like
Okay.
a lot of
Mm-hmm.
these old school YA writers. I know that he's spoken of them before. Um, So I know that he has that balance, but um I can't say the same for everybody else because I don't know. I haven't heard it from other people, but I know I've heard it. And it's not to say that they haven't, but I just know
Mhm.
I've specifically have heard that out of Jason's mouth.
Yeah.
Shut up, Yanni. Y'all gonna leave me alone. Y'all leave me in. Listen, he's a very he's and I mean outside of
Mhm.
my biased feelings,
Well,
he's an amazing human.
mhm. Well, and Ashley, like loyalty is important in a
In
relationship,
any relationship, loyalty is extremely important.
right?
I'm always going to vouch for my man,
As you should.
as I should. All right, let's scroll down and see here. Jason fan club, y'all. Let me tell you, short ad lib here. So I requested his new book that's releasing, I think in November, and I was politely declined, and I am so butthurt over it.
Oh,
Even my librarian plug did not work. They were like,
what?
"Girl, no."
No. No, come on. You need to like email those publicists.
Right?
Like,
Like they
what?
were like, "Girl, no, you could forget that. Nice
Ugh.
try though."
Oh man. Yeah,
Okay.
it happens. I mean, there's always something that you want and you don't get.
Yeah, always. Okay. First one up. Little Women.
Little Women.
You've read it, right?
I love it.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I've read it a lot of times since I was a kid, and I think it's great. It is one of these things though that like it's older, so I don't think I look, I was a nerdy teenager who liked
Mhm.
reading classics. so I loved it, but I think a lot like it depends on the teenager. Like I think your average teenager
Yeah.
probably would have a hard time getting into it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it's a good one. It's from the 1800s, like late 1800s, I think.
I would say
Yeah.
too, just like as a preface for going into this list, I wonder if, and maybe I may do some reading afterwards. I feel like there's potential for some things to be on this list that shaped YA.
Yes.
It may not be titles that we necessarily agree with, but I think a lot of what I'm going to be looking through is also a historical lens and how I've been trained to look at YA. So
Yeah.
just to give y'all a heads
Yeah.
up, but I definitely would put Little Women in. I would put Little Women on this list.
Yes. Agreed.
And Sid, your question, I wonder if it would be classified as YA today. We catalog Little Women as children's, if I'm not mistaken. But I think because of the nature, and I haven't read it, so Bethany, you could definitely correct me on this.
Yeah.
I think the nature of the characters, the coming of age, and the actual age of them as
Mhm.
characters would make it a good what do we call
Yeah.
these titles? Not crossovers, but crossover appeal.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is that it is. I think this would be, what we would call older YA right now,
Hmm.
because they start off like the youngest, Amy. I think at the beginning of the book is like 10, and the
Hmm.
oldest sister, because it's four sisters, and the oldest is like 16 or something, and so it goes till Amy is like I don't know, like 18 or 19, maybe something like that. So it is like this fits YA in my opinion. I just
Hmm.
think that like because it's older, the language it's written in is,
Hmm.
a little more archaic than what most teenagers today are used to reading, but the storytelling and it was designed for young people. Like it was written as kind of a novel with morality woven into it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think too that Little Women is probably one of the most accessible classics out there,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest. And I haven't read it, but from what I've heard, um, it appears to be super accessible. I was talking
Yeah.
about Stunt Boy, Isabella. Okay. Let's see if I
I'm
get my notes.
expecting The Hobbit to be on this list because
You think so?
I think it was originally written for children.
Children? Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah,
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 yeah, uh-huh,
yeah. I would give it to Anne of Green Gables too. We
100%.
catalog this one as we catalog this one as children's too, but I think it has a lot of crossover appeal, especially as you continue to read
In the
the
series.
rest of the series.
Mhm,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's not a shocker at all.
no. Oh, okay, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Okay. Nice choice.
That's yeah. I remember reading this, like, years ago.
That's
That's definitely
interesting.
yeah.
I wouldn't have expected them to put A Tree Grows in Brooklyn on this list, to be honest with you. I mean, it
Yeah.
fits, but I wouldn't have.
I don't know how many, like, teenagers would actually read this usually, because it is more a little more literary, but it's a coming of
Yeah,
age story, like, I can
yeah.
see it, you know?
I'm gonna go ahead and say no. There's not. Um, I think that when you start talking about, first of all, and I'm answering this from a library perspective too, so Bethany may be able to give you a different perspective. I think that typically you're looking at things that are targeted. When we say teens in library world, we're looking at usually either 12 to 18 or 13 to 18 is usually kind of the demographic.
Mhm.
However, you have some books that are technically middle grade that have crossover appeal for those who may be transitioning out of the children's section or those that may be at a lower reading level. So it's when you're talking about the breakdown from children's to middle grade to YA, I think that there's a lot of blending that goes on in there where you can't really say that every book is definitively this or that.
Yeah,
I mean, some books are. Some books hardcore, like for instance, the Gilded Ones, because that's the first thing that popped into my head and I see it on my shelf. That's YA. Okay.
100%,
Like
yeah.
100%. I would
Mhm.
never put that in any other age categorization. But some books, they kind of it depends on how far you get in the
Yeah,
series. I mean, it depends on so many factors I think that can play
yeah,
into it. So I personally say there is no definitive age range.
yeah. I mean, I think from a publishing perspective, they would say 13 to 19, I think,
Mhm.
supposedly, but like there's it gets like you said, there's some middle grade that I think could age up into YA. Like the Keeper of the Lost City series, the main character is like 13 and her love
Mhm.
interests are like 15. And so it reads like, tweens into early YA,
Mhm.
not for like an 8-year-old, because like middle grade starts at 8. So like it gets
It gets
complicated.
dicey. It gets dicey. And then when you start looking at too, and I love books that have crossover appeal
Hmm.
because of the fact that you have some readers who are either advanced and you have to be mindful of content. So you have sometimes YA that reads a little younger, or sometimes, you have middle grade that reads a little bit older for those who are maybe struggling readers and they still
Hmm.
have to, so I like crossover appeal, but I think that sometimes it can confuse people on what is what. So, like,
Yeah.
for instance, I think here on BookTube, we primarily read middle grade and YA when we're talking about youth related stuff. I'm not adult. I know a lot of us, we all read a mix of everything, but
Mhm.
youth related stuff, a lot of us stick within middle grade and YA, although sometimes I will see something that is a children's book get called middle grade because middle grade seems to be kind of the default.
Mhm.
Um, and it's not always a default. So
Yeah.
it can get confusing.
Yeah. Well, and like I have an advanced reading 7-year-old, and so
Mhm.
I'm like figuring out like, okay, what middle grade books are appropriate for him to
Yeah.
read that will give him that challenge, but with
Yeah.
material that's like okay for
Content,
his
yeah,
age. Yeah.
yeah,
So
and
it's
we
kind
we have
of
so much trouble with that, like, at work because, we can't act in local parentis,
hmm.
um, so and plus, when we talk about access, it makes our job a little bit more complicated, but it is harder when we have parents who come in and they're like, "Oh, my child is reading on a 10th grade level. I just want to send them to the YA section, and we're like, we're not going to stop you, but we want you to know that things are categorized as teen or YA because of content.
Right.
That's the reason why they're in that section.
Yeah.
And some libraries do that too, where if content, like we had children, not children, we had A Court of Thorns and Roses. That was originally in our teen section. But as we started to read it, we were like, we're pulling this out because
Mm-hmm.
how we bracket things in a library is our kind of way of telling people it's in this section because of content.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to stop you, but we're going to let you know by putting this in the adult section, there's probably adult content in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. There is.
There
I
is.
mean, like I try to point it out in reviews or in videos, like when I read something that I think would be appropriate for that age, whether it's middle grade or like young YA. But there are definitely books out there that are good for that age group. Yeah.
Lydia, that conversation is coming from me soon. Patreon voted on that one, so that will be coming from me at some point this month. That video will be coming about the literary merit of picture books. They're super important. Okay, next one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's been such a long time since I read The Diary of a Young Girl. I think the last time I read that was probably in could have been in middle school or high school. If it was high school, it was early high school, but I feel
Yeah.
like it was middle school.
I think I read it in high school, and it's been a long time. Yeah, but I remember I just remember being struck by how much of a normal girl she read like.
Yeah.
You know, where I was
Yeah.
like, oh, like this could be someone I know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think too it's one of those books that I say is a good windows, mirrors, sliding glass doors type of book
Mm-hmm.
because the normalcy of the diary itself is you literally can relate to. And what's the name of the teacher with that movie? She made her kids read it. The teacher in California.
I don't know.
Freedom Writers. For the Freedom Writers. She
Oh.
made her kids, she was teaching in California right after, this was early 90s, right after the LA riots. And she was dealing with kids who were extremely, like, how do I put it? Very pocketed. So you had Black kids, you had Asian kids, you had the Latinx kids,
Mm-hmm.
and then your handful of white kids. Very, very like segregated. And she used this as a focal point to bring the kids together to kind of use that concept. Yeah.
That's cool.
I wouldn't be surprised, Johnny.
Possibly. Well, like I know Anne of Green Gables is by a Canadian author. Little Women is American. Yeah, it's interesting. All right.
Oh my gosh. Every daggone list has this dumb.
I mean, it is. Look, it's a coming of age story. I hated this book.
Jesus,
So
I hate The Catcher in the Rye. I literally, that's me. Every reaction video that I've freaking done to any list has had this book on it. Whether it's been the 100 books you need to read before you die or the best YA books, I'm like, no, let this book go. Let this book go. I hate The Catcher in the Rye.
You know what, though? I have found, I feel like there's some people who, like, people either hate it or love it. You know?
Yeah.
Like, there are people who really love it and feel seen by it. And then there's people who are like, what the hell is this? Why are we reading it? I did not like it, but I do know people who like identify, which I don't know how to feel about them identifying with the main character, but there are people who like, you know, I don't know.
Oh man, if y'all have never read The Catcher in the Rye, you know, I don't tell people not to read read books. That's not my thing. But I don't recommend it. That's how I'm gonna phrase that. I don't recommend this one.
I was not a fan. I read this in high school. I didn't like it.
Lydia also put that there's a whole article. Jason Reynolds wrote it, Lydia, for how they chose the books.
Okay, cool. I mean, it makes sense to me that it would be on the list. It's a coming of age story. It is a big deal. It's taught, you know, I mean, it's not surprising.
It's not surprising, but
I didn't like was either. A lot of people love this book, though.
I
Like,
hate this book.
me too. Oh my gosh, I was in the minority. Everyone in my class when we read it in high school was so into it, and I hate it.
Somebody had put a comment on my last video because, and I hope they watch this video, because I had put it when I had scrolled through and I got to it, I was like, I hate Lord of the Flies. I really do. And it was boring to me. I think people really like the concept of it, but I
Mhm.
thought it was dry. I thought it was boring. I didn't find it entertaining. Like, I didn't like anything about this book whatsoever.
Also, the original classic full of fat phobia. Like,
Get
you
triggered
know,
every time you read the daggone book.
I mean, it's not. I didn't
Yeah.
like it. A lot of people in high school liked it, but you know what? I especially even more so as a teenager was very much about like order and rules and stuff. And so this was like not my deal. I was like,
Yeah.
this is my worst nightmare.
Lord of the Flies is definitely not. And it's so interesting that Jason Reynolds, when I saw him talk last year in February, he had talked about Lord of the Flies and Hunger Games and like the importance of having books in a classroom that kids can relate to, like not making high school kids read Moby Dick because like,
Hmm.
like there's nothing that they can really
That is
connect
a
to.
boring book. Like that book, it's so boring. Nothing happens for like hundreds of pages.
Man's obsession with a freaking whale. It's crazy. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay.
I love these like velvet.
I know, it's very fancy.
They're very fancy. Okay, this was also on the
Okay.
list that I just
I
did.
mean, unsurprising, right?
But every year that as we get older, as society continues to
I
evolve,
know.
To
I
Kill a
know.
Mockingbird be like it loses its appeal. And I liked To Kill a Mockingbird when I read it in high school. I did. But as I learn more and as we have more conversations about stuff, it's not it loses its appeal. I do think that it is
Yeah.
one of those important classics to kind of study and recognize, but it's
I
also
guess
in those things too. Go
I
ahead,
guess the
Bethany.
question that, oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, and my question is like, is this important to YA as a genre?
No, it's not. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that right now. I think
Yeah.
it's an interesting classic
Yeah.
in terms of writing in America. I think it is. But I don't think it's pivotal to YA. And I don't know why people keep putting this on a YA list. Um, because to me, we don't catalog this as YA. This is an adult book.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I don't think it's done anything for YA. So why it continues to be on the list, I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, the other books they've had on this list so far, I'm like, I can see it. I can see it as having an influence on YA
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
genre. This is the first one where I'm like, okay, I think it's important as a classic. It has had an
Mhm.
important place in history, but like as a YA book,
Yeah,
eh,
I don't
yeah.
I wouldn't put it here. I think it's one of those American classics that I think also, and this is probably a slightly unpopular opinion, I don't think that it should be studied at a high school level. I think that these are books that are classics that are important to analyze at a collegiate level because of
Interesting.
the content and the nature in which society has kind of evolved at this point.
Hmm.
But that's just me.
Interesting. I guess I feel like it depends because like high schools can vary so much and like whether you're talking regular English class or like
Mhm.
AP English or whatever,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I see that
Interesting.
with AP
Yeah.
or IB English. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
So
YA. Okay, but YA?
I've
I
heard of
mean,
this author, but I have
okay,
not read this book.
I read this growing up, but
Hmm.
it's a children's book.
Children's book.
I mean, it's a good children's book, but like this is something you would now give to like an 8-year-old. It's not I
Hmm.
wouldn't call this YA, so I'm not sure why it's on this list.
Do you feel like it has any crossover appeal or no?
I don't think so. I mean, like, it's about, if I'm remembering right, like, I think it's about, like, kids who, like, have adventures in, like, a museum.
Okay.
Like, it's been a long time since I read it. The Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler, for people. Like, it's like funny stories. I really liked this when I was a kid, but I read
Mhm.
this when I was like 7 or 8. Like, this was
Okay.
not like, it's weird to me that it's on a YA list.
Yeah. I've heard of the author, but I've never read it.
Yeah, see, the kids go live in a museum. That's what,
Okay.
yeah. It's like, this is, so,
Okay.
I mean,
Oh, okay, like Encyclopedia Brown. Those are
mm,
definitely kids, so
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, Encyclopedia Brown, I think
That's
more
when I
kids.
was reading this at the same time I was reading Encyclopedia
Encyclopedia
Brown.
Brown? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
So,
definitely kids.
like, it's a good book, a children's classic, but
Mhm.
YA, no.
No.
Like, I don't think so.
Whew. Wizard of Earthsea, Ursula K. Le
Okay.
Guin.
That was a big jump. I'm surprised The
That was
Hobbit
a
is not
huge
on
jump.
here. That was a big time jump.
That's a huge time jump.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, I mean, this should be on here, but
Mhm.
like, I feel like we're missing stuff. Also, this is very Western.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
If we're talking about, because I think now what we're gonna see from this point on, it's gonna be heavy Western.
Yeah.
You know what's gonna be surprising to me? I'm gonna be very surprised if I don't see The Outsiders on this list.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be
Yeah.
surprised.
I'm sure it'll probably be on here. I mean, this is a fantastic book. I think it should definitely be on the list. I just feel
Yeah,
like we did a big time leap there, and there are some
yeah.
other books that
In
should have been
between.
in there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right. This is one that I've never seen
I
before.
can't. What is this? I'll
I'll
get
get there. It
there.
better
It
be worth.
better be worth the trip.
Never heard of this one.
I've never heard of this.
All right. Has anybody in the chat, have y'all heard of this one before? I'll get there. It better be worth the trip by John Donovan.
I have never. Yeah, I've never heard of this before.
Yeah, this is
I'll look it up.
Isabella. Out of curiosity, in high school, were any of the books from your assigned reading books? Would we class? No. No. When I was in high school, a lot of the books that I read when I was in high school are adult literary fiction or they're classics. What kids are reading now
Yeah,
is very different from what I got in high school. I mean, I was reading Romeo and Juliet in 8th grade.
yeah. Same.
So it's and and
Julius Caesar.
but I think about that and I think about my obsession with Romeo and Juliet, and I think it's very unhealthy because of the fact that I think I read that I was 12 in 8th grade,
Yeah.
to give you kind of like a framework here. To read something like that and then not really be taught that their relationship should not have been romanticized, nor was it really happy. It's a tragedy.
Hmm.
I was not mature enough to handle reading Romeo and Juliet at 12 years old.
See, what's funny is I read it and I thought it was dumb. And all my friends thought it was super romantic because I read it around the same age and I was like, this is stupid. Why are they dying just because the other person
Yeah,
is
yeah.
So
It,
I was like, this was not my, but yeah, I mean, I think fair. Okay, so I did look it up. It's interesting. This I'll get there at Betty B. Worth the Trip. It was
yeah.
published in 1969. It was one of the first mainstream teen novels to deal with homosexuality, which is probably
Okay.
why it's on the list.
Which
So
is why it's on the list. Yes.
yeah. So
Which means that if it was published in 1969, The
mhm.
Outsiders is not on this list.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, it is interesting because the author of The Outsiders has had some things to say.
But you know what? And that's the problem that I have with lists like that, because that low key just pissed me off, because regardless of when you're making lists like this, I think you have to have some you have to kind of separate some things, because at the end of the day, regardless of what the author has said and done, not that they shouldn't be held accountable, not that, I think it's a very, very complicated situation. But when you're talking about the history of something, regardless of whether it is good or bad, it needs to be acknowledged because it shaped. The Outsiders was a book that shaped YA, hands down. We're taught in youth when you take a YA lit class in library information science, they teach you how important of a role the outsiders played in shaping YA, regardless of how I think S.E. Hinton has completely lost her mind and that she should have just stayed in the corner from which she crawled, and I lost a lot of respect for her that day, because for her to say that graphic novels don't count as reading is just, it's stupid. I don't know.
Yeah.
Her publicist, somebody, she shouldn't even be on Twitter. But I think that even with that behavior, you can't deny the impact that the book has made.
Right.
And it's made its impact.
Yeah. I think they made some choices, because I saw someone in the comments say earlier that She Who Must Not Be Named is not on this list either.
Which is
for
a problem.
I mean, yeah.
It's a problem, and I hate to say that, and I know what's going on right now, and I'm going to keep that completely separate from this conversation. She is problematic. She's a problematic human. I don't like her. She's ruined a lot of things for me, and she's damaged a lot of people in the trans community.
Yeah.
That series is part of what they call the golden age of YA, and that is history.
Yeah.
Right? You can't erase history. You can acknowledge what something has done and say it has done what it's done and it's time to move on. But to completely erase it from this list, for me, is a problem, because you're not acknowledging the impact. If it wasn't for Twilight, and as much as I don't like Stephanie Meyer, if it wasn't for Twilight in that series...
Ooh, someone said Twilight's not on the list either.
That's dumb as hell. And I'm telling you that as a librarian. That's dumb. That's dumb.
I mean, yeah.
That's dumb.
I mean, they've been formative for YA as a genre. So
yeah, I mean, Aaron, it is. I'm sorry, I missed your question, but I saw it. Here it is. It is in the beginning. But when you get to that fourth book, it is YA. Because of the content. The content makes it YA at that point.
And the age. Like, the kids age up, the content ages up. So by the end, it's definitely YA.
It is a YA series. The same way that even Rick Riordan stuff starts off as middle grade. But by the time you get to some of that later stuff, it pushes to a young YA audience. I can't believe that. So here we are with this list. And this is why I have a problem with lists like this, is that bias is not removed.
Yeah.
Didn't put, and these are all authors with what we consider to be bad behavior.
Right.
So you have Stephanie Meyer is not on this list. That horrible human being is not on this list. And then you don't have Crazy Behind S.E. Hinton on this list. And as much as I do not like them, you can't deny the history of the work itself. Because I think in order to understand and process how far we've come, you have to acknowledge where we've been. And that's important. You can't just erase history and be like, oh, we're not going to acknowledge this because this person is awful. That's like erasing history in general. Right. That's like saying we're not going to study certain parts of history because that's the issue that the United States is having right now with critical race theory.
Yeah.
But
well, and like, to this point, like, because I see somebody saying, does it matter that it's best of rather than most influential? The problem with it is that a lot of some of the previous books that we've seen, I wouldn't call best of, but I would call influential.
Yes.
And they equally have problematic authors, problematic content, but they're on the list because they're old enough that people, it's not as relevant because the authors are dead, I think, is really what it is. Like, the authors aren't on Twitter. like J.D. Salinger is not on Twitter.
Yeah, so it's not. Yeah, and that in itself is, some of that stuff is problem. And I mean, we can get into the parsing of the title of this, but honestly, I mean, how do you make a best of list without acknowledging the influence?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard. The two go hand in hand, in my opinion. That's my opinion. And you can look at this list differently, but I think that when you say best of, when I think best of, they've got to have some impact on YA as a category.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Damn, that's disappointing. All right. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, yeah. Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. Judy Blume, um, I mean, you could not have this list without Judy
Yeah.
Blume. So
Okay, so I think there's an argument to be made if we're talking like most influential that something like Flowers in the Attic should be on here. It's a hella problematic book,
it's super.
but I mean,
It's
no, I know.
influential.
Oh, it's got no, I know, but it's hugely influential and
Yeah,
it was a big deal in
yeah,
YA.
it was.
I'm curious if that makes it on here. But yeah, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Definitely that should be on the list.
Yes, 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 yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. A Hero Ain't
Okay.
Nothing But a Sandwich by
Alice Childress.
Alice Childress.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't heard of this one, but
Haven't heard of this one. Familiar with the name, but not the book.
hmm.
How much I want to bet Jason Reynolds has something to do with that?
Oh, they made it into a film in 1978.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's interesting. That's the first thing that came up.
Ah. Okay. So here's the thing. I usually have a problem with this because I don't like when when an author takes up multiple spaces
Yeah,
on 100 best, or whatever, best of list, because I feel like it's filler.
right.
But with that being said, I don't know how I would choose between Forever or Are You There, God.
Yeah,
I that's a very, very tough decision to make because both
yeah.
of those are iconic.
Yep.
Yeah, if y'all haven't read Forever, you want to talk about pushing boundaries and what
Look.
was discussed in YA at the time. No stone was left unturned.
Oh man, I remember reading. I mean, because look, I grew up in like a very conservative
Hmm.
household, and like I think if my parents knew what was in this book, there's no way in hell I would have been able to read it.
Yeah.
But I remember reading it, and it was, I mean, woo, it was like the most steamy thing I'd ever read.
No stone left unturned, y'all. I'm telling you, if you have not read Forever, it's been a while since I read it too, Miss WSC Reader. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
it's been a
I
while.
need to read it. Okay, this
Okay.
was also on the last list that I reacted to, Tuck Everlasting, but I
Mhm.
have not read it myself. Hold on.
I saw the movie that they made a while
Oh,
back. So I didn't read the book, but I saw the movie when I was like in high school, I want to say. And I liked the movie, although it was a really sad ending. I do think this was an influential YA book.
yeah, I haven't read it.
It's interesting. I mean, the movie is really good. Like, if you get a chance to watch, like, I thought the movie was, at
Yeah,
least as a teenager, I liked it. Hmm?
I haven't. I don't think I've ever seen the movie either, Bethany. Come to think of
Oh,
it.
yeah, I think it came out because I saw it in theaters, and I want to say I was in like high school. Wow.
Wow.
That's an introduction.
That's a heck of an introduction. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What did I just do? Oh, I did some crazy stuff. Hold on, y'all. Let me not go too far. Easy, easy.
Okay.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Right.
Oh, my bad. I'm just screwing up. Okay, so I'm probably going to lose a lot of credibility by saying this. Um, I did not like Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry when I was supposed to read it as a child. It did not appeal to me. However, I have not tried to read it since I've been an adult. So,
I'm
with that
not,
being said,
so I'm not sure I ever read it
yeah.
because, like, I was very, uh, I don't know. I was kind of like, I think what happened was I had like not a great experience with a book that was children's historical fiction.
Yeah.
And after that, I like would avoid reading it,
Okay.
like the genre. So I don't know that I actually read this because of that, because I think I read Johnny Tremaine, which actually that's not on this list, which is interesting.
It's not.
Um, but I read that, and I remember if I found some things in it super disturbing, and then
Mhm.
after that I was like, I don't think I want to read historical fiction anymore.
Depressing. Oh yeah, no, 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 definitely, definitely.
Mhm.
I listen, I think when it was introduced to me, I was too young. Um, I don't think I was ready to read it just yet. Because I don't think I was at the point where I know that I wasn't at the point. Now I'm looking back at it as an adult. I don't think I was at the point where I was ready to read it now. I definitely think reading it as an adult, I would have a completely different um perspective of it. And it's interesting because this one actually what award is that?
Uh,
I can't tell.
it's hard to read. I can look it up.
I don't think that's a Caldecott. Coretta Scott King Award and
Okay,
Newbery.
oh,
Okay, Newbery
that makes
Medal.
sense.
Okay. Yeah, and that's interesting, y'all, because Newberries are given to um children's books. So this is why things get kind of tricky because we do catalog this entire series by Taylor as children's.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks, y'all.
Chantal.
Yeah, it's
I'm glad you get my.
really
uh,
I wouldn't have chosen this one.
oh, I would.
You would choose this one?
Well, I don't know. But, I mean, something in the series had to be on
Yeah,
here,
yeah. I would choose
but
something in the
probably A
series.
Wrinkle in Time, I
A
guess.
Wrinkle in Time. Yeah.
But they're
Yeah.
all fan. I mean, they're all fantastic.
Yeah.
I went through a big Madeline L'Engle phase.
Yeah, definitely now it'd be interesting for them to have Madeline on here and not Tammy.
Tammy.
Hmm?
Who?
Tammy, I call her because I can never remember whether it's Tamora,
Oh,
Tamara.
Tamora Pierce. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, so I think Madeline L'Engle was writing earlier.
Mm-hmm.
She was older, so these came out prior. Like I think this was like the 70s.
Okay.
Yeah, this was part of the Wrinkle in Time series for people who
Yeah.
are wondering. I read so many of her books. I loved her stuff. This is the thing is I was like, forget historical fiction, give me all the
Fantasy.
sci-fi
Yeah,
fantasy,
fantasy.
and like nothing has
Yeah.
really changed. So yes. Oh, I love this.
Okay.
I,
I have never read this one.
I read this in 5th grade,
Mm-hmm.
and it was great. It's like
Mm-hmm.
kind of a mystery, like
Yeah.
I don't know about YA. It's like I think to me it reads more middle grade, but it's
Yeah.
definitely an influential like children's book.
I think what they probably may have been having issues with is pulling, well, depends on how you look at it, but they may have had difficulty in some way pulling a lot of titles before that golden age of YA began because there wasn't a lot of there was no, I'm thinking about it once again, like through a library lens, there was no teen section.
Yeah.
It was either children or adults. So I think that maybe authors, a lot of the stuff that we were reading in like 5th and 6th grade
Hmm.
was also meant to cover anybody that would probably be from like a middle grade audience to high school.
Yeah, but I mean, you could still find stuff that reads older. I mean, because I was like 10 when I read this. It's
Hmm.
definitely a younger. I mean, it's fun because there's
Hmm.
like it's like a fun mystery book, and I loved it when I read it. But I was like 10. So,
Oh yes, Cynthia Voigt.
oh, I have not read this.
I have not read this, but Cynthia Voigt is a major, major, major name.
Okay.
And I'm not surprised to see something of hers on this list. But
Oh,
I have not read this one.
yeah. somebody mentioned Nancy Drew.
Oh,
That's a good point. I'm surprised that's not on here because that's YA.
Yeah. Hardy Boys.
And Hardy, both of those were
Mm-hmm.
influential. I feel like pretty influential YA titles, and they must not be on the list. I'm guessing.
Aaron, I'd be surprised if it's not on this list. I'd be very surprised if Go Ask Alice is not on this list.
Yeah.
Lala, that cover scares
It is a very creepy cover.
It is. The House on Mango Street. Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would. As a matter of fact, it's so interesting. Somebody just asked me to order more copies of this last week for the teen, for their teen areas.
Okay.
So yeah, we are.
Still reading this one.
Yeah.
Okay. I have never heard of this.
Never heard of this one either.
We
Anybody heard of this one?
Look this up.
I have never heard of this one.
Inaugurated the Dangerous Angels series for young adults. Okay. A dreamlike, heightened version of Los Angeles, aptly referred to as Shangri-La. Okay, interesting. Oh, The Giver. Yes, this needs to be on the list. I love this. This whole series is so good.
Yes. Definitely.
I just feel like they're missing stuff.
They are. I mean, we've already pointed out a few, unless they just randomly pop up.
Yeah.
We've pointed out a few.
Also, at this point, is Tamora Pierce going to be on the list? Because she should be. I have reread it as an adult, and I loved it, actually. I reread it. I read the whole series because I didn't read the whole series originally. There's a whole quartet that eventually ties in the last book.
Yeah.
Great. That's funny. Oh no. We lost Ashley. Okay, guys. Well. Oh no, Lala hated it. Sorry. Hopefully Ashley comes back. That's so funny. Yeah, I did still like it, but it's like I don't know, it worked for me. Like, Ashley, where are you? Oh my gosh. We'll see if she messaged me or anything. There you are.
I just randomly left.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yes, Knox. The Giver is a series. It's a quartet of books. They seem random. So books 1, 2, and 3 seem unconnected, and then book 4 ties them all together, which I was into. So, yeah.
There we go. All right. Now we're back in action. Sorry, y'all. Did not mean to randomly leave. No, I wasn't, Lala. I went to, because I'm doing, like, I have my screen split, and I went to go try to click on something that has, like, y'all on the right-hand side, and I clicked Leaf Studio. Ella Enchanted.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
This was very modern, though. This was, like, my childhood.
This is an interesting list.
It is a very interesting list.
And
it's very American.
Very, very American.
Like, very American.
Oh, yes. Holes.
I never read the book, but I saw the movie.
The book is just like the movie, or the movie's just like the book.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it is the closest that I've ever seen a book to movie adaptation. I read this in the fall of 2019 and watched the movie, and I was like, they did a very true adaptation.
The movie was good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was good. That was one I definitely saw that one in theater too. I think I was like in high school when the movie came out.
This is my line. I'm tired of digging all these holes, Grandpa. That's too damn bad. Well, excuse me. Now I want to go.
Ooh, wow. Yeah, someone said extremely American. I feel like they thought the rest of us weren't reading. Look. Oh, man.
She killed me with that line. Well, excuse me. Yes. Yes. Okay. So I have to
This
see
is on my
something about this.
TBR. I got the like anniversary edition, and I want to read it, but
This book, Jacqueline Woodson did a piece a while ago because this is one of her older titles. And they did a reprinting
Mhm,
with this new cover on it. She did a wonderful piece talking about what it means to write stories that are not your own,
mhm,
which is very important, which I had put it on Twitter a long time ago. I don't know if I feel like digging it up, but she talked a lot about what it means when people are not, and this was before Own Voices, that before this that came up, before the actual hashtag even came into play. She was talking about why it's important to ask people, why do you want to write this story? If
mhm,
it's not your lived experience, why do you want to write it? What are your intentions for telling a story that is not your own? And I think I'm pretty sure it was against the backdrop of this book. I can't be 100%. I feel like it was because of, maybe it was for this one. It could have been another one. Anyway, either way, Jacqueline Woodson, that article is extremely relevant to today, especially with everything that's been happening with Own Voices.
mhm.
Um, and if you just haven't read Jacqueline Woodson, damn it, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. Jacqueline Woodson is, I mean, she literally writes across the board. She writes picture books, she writes children's books, she writes middle grade, she writes YA, and she writes adult. So there's a little something for everybody with Jacqueline Woodson. And she can do no wrong. And her and Jason Reynolds are close friends. They took a picture together walking in the park or something like that. I don't know. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful.
I love it.
This was also on the other list. Have you read this series?
No, but I remember Lala reread it in one of her videos, I think, where she, like Kayla, where she was doing her like stuff from when she was a teenager or something.
Lala, if you're still here, what were your thoughts? Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I had never heard of this before her video actually.
Yeah,
So,
this was I remember when I forget Becca's channel name. Becca did a reread of this as well. I think this was a while ago. This might have been pre-COVID that
this
Becca was rereading these books.
yeah, this must be like a Canadian or British thing because they're using snogging, which is
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah,
British
yeah,
term
yeah,
for
yeah.
kissing. So like I think maybe this just didn't like come to America much,
Yeah.
which is fine. It's good to have something on here.
Well, maybe I need to, because I haven't read it. I've heard so much about it, but I've never read it.
Mhm.
Y'all leave me alone. No, he hasn't slid into my DMs. The man doesn't really technically know that I exist. Okay. I mean, he
Yeah.
knows he's
Yet.
met me. He's met me in person. I have photographic evidence that we've met and we've talked. But
Mhm.
I mean, he meets hundreds of people. He wouldn't remember who I was. It's so unfortunate. Yes. I knew Jason he had to. Sorry, I hate to keep bringing him up, but him and
No,
Angie,
you don't.
I don't. Let me stop lying. I don't hate to keep bringing him up, but I know that him and Angie had something to do with this one.
I haven't read it, but I know it's a big.
It's not my favorite when it comes to Walter Dean Myers because the narrator is not, from what I remember reading it, I don't think the narrator is 100% reliable. And I don't always do well with narrators that are not reliable.
Okay.
But it does cover some really, really tough topics. That's why I always get interested when like books now that are coming out that are talking about like mass incarceration, police brutality, the treatment of young Black men. They're not doing anything new.
Hmm.
Walter Dean Myers is like, you have people like Walter Dean Myers who've been doing that for an extremely, extremely long time. I have one queued up that I want to read by him soon. Um, I feel like that one is I feel like it's about a drug addict. I'm about to look it up really quick because I want to give y'all, it's called Dope Sick.
Okay.
That one, I think is one that I am looking forward to reading. But yes. Oh,
Okay. Mhm.
thank God.
I just read this
I
like
was
a couple of years ago.
I was so stressed. This was not gonna be on this list. Oh, y'all, if you've never read Speak,
Mhm.
please pick it up. Lori Halls Anderson is another one of those. She's I think her daughter's a librarian. I got the pleasure of hearing the two of them speak at work a few years ago, and they're huge library advocates. But she also writes, I would say, predominantly middle grade and YA. Some of her stuff, I think you could do like upper children, but she covers a lot of just interesting topics. And What's Her Face actually played in the movie adaptation of this one. What's her name?
I don't know.
The girl who played What's Her Face in Twilight.
Oh,
Kristen Stewart. Thank you,
Kristen
Salma.
Stewart. Yes.
Yeah, Kristen. Yeah, Kristen Stewart plays the main
Okay.
character of
Oh,
Speak.
interesting.
It was like one of those straight to DVD
Okay.
type
Probably why I
movies.
haven't seen it. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you could probably watch it on YouTube, y'all, to be honest with you. But yeah,
Yeah.
there is a movie adaptation of it, and
Yeah.
Kristen Stewart played the main character.
Interesting. It's a really good book. I just read it a couple years ago for the first time, and it was
It's
really
good.
good.
This was also on the list, Stargirl.
Okay, this is also one that I found out about from Kayla's videos because she loves this
Kayla,
one too.
Kayla, where are you at?
Didn't they just make a movie of it too? I haven't seen it, but
Did they make a movie of it?
they did. Yeah, I think on Netflix maybe. I don't know. Yeah, just put out a movie of this. Or was did the movie come out or was there a trailer? I don't know. They're like oh, the movie was not good. Okay.
Okay, the movie was not good.
No.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
still upset they didn't put any more peers on this list. She 100%
Yeah, are
should have
you
been on here.
going back to wait,
Mhm.
hold up. We're going through this list and people who should be on this list are not on this list.
Yeah. There's yep.
Okay. Well, I've never read Stargirl.
I haven't either. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I read
Definitely.
this.
I read this too. And let me tell you, I do not like and you know what's so crazy is that Cosmopolitan came out with this list April of this year. And they have a lot of crossover going on between the Cosmopolitan list and this list. Um makes me wonder. Okay, The Princess Diaries. I do not like what's the main character's name?
Mia?
Mia. I do not like Mia in these books. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I think I liked her better in the movie.
I
I
like her better in the
love
movie.
the movie. I
Yeah.
was I was all about the movie. I want to say I watched the movie first and then I started reading the books.
Yes.
And I never liked the books as much as the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mia was not she's not a fun human
No.
in these books. But yeah, I definitely did enjoy Mia more in the movies. And I always say, let's give Miss Whitney Houston her flowers because she was an executive producer for The
I
Princess
did not
Diaries.
know that.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, Whitney Houston was
Wow.
executive producer behind that. So
I love it. It was
yeah,
good. And like
yeah,
the
it was good.
cast was it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it makes me wonder if like Elle Devine stuff is going to be on there, or anything that was an imprint from Kensington Press
Hmm.
that was kind of street lit for a YA audience. I'm very curious to see if any of those make the list because those are also very important to YA from a different lens. So that's a good point. That's a very, very good point.
Isabella, I did not know this.
Oh, I didn't know
Shonda Rhimes
that.
wrote the script to the second
I didn't
one.
know that.
What?
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. So it was a lot of nice
Yeah.
hands.
Yeah. And Julie Andrews was
Of course.
wonderful.
Of
Oh,
course.
that's good.
Heard of this one before?
No, I have
I've
not.
never heard of this either. A Step from Hannah. A Step from
Step
Heaven
from Heaven.
by Anna. Nope.
I, yeah, I've never heard of this one.
I've never heard of that one before.
I should see what it is.
Okay. Rainbow Boys.
I've also never heard of this.
I have heard of this one. I have a copy of this one. I have not read it yet.
Okay.
Yeah. I definitely see this one being on here for representation.
Right. A Step from Heaven was a 2001. Wow, we're already at 2001. Okay. It won awards. I don't know. It doesn't even say what it is.
I don't
Rainbow Boys. Yeah, I had not heard of this one.
Oh my gosh, y'all are freaking out. It's like, oh
yeah, so it's like about gay and questioning youth. I mean, so yeah, of course. I mean, not shocking, but yeah, of course.
Representation. Yeah.
Okay. It was just.
Y'all are funny.
This is so funny.
Y'all are hilarious. Okay, I know what this is going to be, and that's yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Mm-hmm. They read very different from the movies. If you're,
I never read the books. I saw the movie. I never read the books.
Yeah, they definitely read. They read different. And it's depressing. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books, I believe. I think the 5th one is it follows them as adults, and it's depressing.
Great.
Just in case. I think I think they're. I feel like the movies were inspired. You know, it's not one of those like holes where the inspiration is it's a direct like adaptation. It's very much so this was inspired by the book. It wasn't, there's elements that are the same, but I think a lot of the storylines are different than what you see in the movies. And then they only made 2, and I feel like they blended some pieces and parts of different books into one movie, especially with that second movie.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay, so I have not read this one.
Me either.
This is a Pura Belpra award, which is a literary award that is given out for and I don't even want to say this wrong, but it's it's always Latinx books, but I want to make sure that I get the actual wording behind it correct. Sad. It's crazy. I just had to order copies of this or try to find copies of this one because I think it's out of print at this point.
Oh, wow.
But it is if you didn't know what the Pura Belpra is, it's given annually to a Latina writer and illustrator whose work best portrays and affirms and celebrates a Latina cultural experience and an outstanding work of literature for children and youth. So, but I do know that one was given that award at 1 year.
Yeah. Can I say that like okay. This is a thing. Like I have feelings about this. So like I am noticing that many of these books are like about struggle.
They are.
And like I just like I don't know, like I just wonder about why it is that those are the books that tend to win awards and make it on lists, because they're the books that get taught in school, but like are the books that end up becoming like I mean, not everything is that. There are
Mhm,
other things as well, but a lot of it is. And
mhm.
I just wonder, because I feel like, are those the things that most teenagers are actually picking up, or is it the stuff they're getting assigned to read?
I think and I can't speak for any other marginalized community except my own, which is being
Mhm.
Black. I think a lot of books that were published up until now with the discussion about Black joy, a lot of books that were published before, um, they knew that that was what was going to sell, that Black trauma, that Black struggle. I think now, as you start to look in the decade that we're in now, I think that people are trying to get out of that. I think people are pushing back against publishing, looking for those stories,
Mhm.
and trying to deter those stories from doing as well. But I can't speak for every marginalized community, but I think a little bit of that has to do with how publishing operates and what some marginalized groups felt like they could write and what would be successful to write. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just kind of my that's just kind of my 2 cents.
Yeah.
But it is true though that a lot of these lists end up being struggle books
Yeah.
with trauma, which
Yeah.
is not,
Yeah.
it's not good. Feed MT Anderson. This is a dystopian.
I
I
have not
haven't
read
read it,
I have not read this. I don't know anything about it.
but it is a dystopian book. I don't know what about it. Um, I don't know if it was one of the first of its kind in terms of like, well, not really because if you think about The Giver,
Yeah.
but I wonder if it was one of the first modern
Yeah.
kind of. But I
Uh
don't know. I haven't read it.
so it says this one was cyberpunk,
Okay.
um, focusing on issues like of corporate power, consumerism,
Mhm.
information technology, and data mining and environmental decay.
Oh, jeez.
So
Yeah, I will be reading it, but nice to
it
see.
says with a sometimes sardonic, sometimes somber tone.
Yeah, no, I won't be reading it.
This
Yes.
is good. This is so
Oh,
good.
so good. I freaking love Persepolis. I can't tell you how many times I've read Persepolis.
It's really good.
It's really good. I had to read this. I think I appreciated this more as a freshman in college, but I think it works well in a high school setting as well. But it was my freshman read, like how some universities, the entire freshman class reads the same book.
Mhm.
Whoever on that committee chose for us to read Persepolis as our freshman book, genius. I have not let this nonfiction graphic memoir go since the day that I read it. Like it's so good, y'all. And then the movie adaptation,
Yeah.
so good.
I haven't
So
seen the
good.
movie, but I read this whole I think I read a bind up. I think it's
Oh, the
3
the
books,
complete
but I
complete
read the complete
list.
thing, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's really good. It gets I didn't I think it's interesting because like by the end it deals with like drugs and sexuality and stuff, which is interesting. I wasn't
yeah,
expecting that. But yeah, it's
yeah.
really good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yes, Kathleen, I'm so glad that you read it. It's so good. Oh my gosh. Now y'all are
Yeah. Oh,
making me wanna read
Hatchet.
it.
Hatchet probably is not on this list.
I don't
No,
think Hatchet's on
it's
this list.
not.
If we're talking about time, Hatchet's not on this
It's
list.
going in chronological order, so
For
it's
order,
not.
yeah, Hatchet's not on
Wow.
the list.
I mean, but is that YA?
Hatchet for me is more children's or middle grade,
Yeah,
but
there's
it
been a
does
lot of
have
other middle
young
grade.
YA crossover appeal though.
Yeah, and there has been a lot of like middle grade-ish stuff on the list.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't add that.
Y'all, if you've never heard of Persepolis or you've never read it, I implore you,
It's so good.
please, please pick it up. It is so freaking good. And then watch the movie adaptation. It is in French, but of course, I mean, there's subtitles.
Yeah. And for people who haven't heard of it, it's a graphic memoir about her life during the revolution in
Mhm.
uh,
Iran.
Iran. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's really
Yeah,
good.
and it is tough in a lot of parts, but it's very eye-opening to look at how imperialism and colonialism have destroyed a lot of what we see right now as um, Middle Eastern conflict. It didn't just kind of come out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of Western powers that had a lot to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, I haven't read it.
I've never heard of this.
I don't think I've even read it. I was gonna say I don't think I've even heard of this one.
No.
Anybody in the chat? How I Live Now? Mick Rosoff?
I live. Also, if we're at like, this was 2004.
Oh shoot! I blocked Lala.
Oh no! Oh no!
How do you unblock somebody?
You should be able to do it on if you go to the YouTube thing.
Oh shit! I was trying to block this person right here.
Oh no!
Oh damn! Lala is just, bruh.
If you go to the YouTube page, you should be able to click the like 3 dots next to her comment and like unblock her.
Two ways. Wait, what do I go to?
Go to the YouTube page for the live stream.
Oh jeez. Hold on, y'all.
Oh no. Okay, well, I'm looking up. So How I Live Now came out in 2004, and it won the British Guardian Children's Fiction Prize and American Prince Award. I don't know what it's about. Plot. Okay. Oh, interesting. So it's about a girl sent from the US to stay on a farm in the UK during the outbreak of a fictional Third World War.
Wait, say that again?
Okay, it's about a 15-year-old girl who's sent from the United States to stay with her aunt on a remote farm in the United Kingdom during the outbreak of a fictional Third World War.
Oh, jeez. No, I'm good.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. This sounds intense. Yeah, I have not heard of this. It's interesting because it doesn't look like a dystopian, but it is, I guess. Like I wouldn't have guessed that from the cover.
Okay. Well, are we good? Lala, are you back?
Yeah, she's back.
Okay. My bad.
She says she's shocked Saoirse Ronan was in the movie and it's not good. Well, maybe that's why. I don't know.
Wait, hold on. Lala, did you even know that you were blocked? Because you slid back in like you weren't even blocked.
I talked a lot of shit while I was blocked.
I was trying to block the person above you, but y'all were talking too fast, so I blocked you instead. I low-key think I just tried to send you a message and tell you like my bad for blocking you, but I saw you were back.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. There's a cousin romance. She falls in love with her cousin in this book.
Oh yeah, nah. We're good. Yeah, we're good.
Also, this came out in 2004, so like I was graduating high school, so I probably was not paying attention to books that were coming out that year.
I probably cannot do this because it is my job now. So because of the nature of it, if I do this, I would have to be very, very careful about how I do it. So that I don't. It's tricky because that is my job now. that is what if y'all did not know, that is my job. I purchase books now. Yeah. So with that being said, I may be able to kind of get away with doing it if I do it as a live show and not an actual video, standalone video. We'll see.
Interesting.
Co-talker Joseph Bruchak. Yes.
Look, you know what? Now, see, this is the thing. We're getting into stuff that came out when I was about like getting ready to start college.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I was reading anything It was like probably mostly stuff for college, and then Twilight because
And then Twilight, yeah.
like, so, yeah, and adult fantasy. Like that's what I was reading. I was reading like adult fantasy and Twilight and college books at this point in time. So
This I have not read, but I'm glad that they included Joseph on this list. He is a very well-known native author, and he has done some
oh,
very,
cool.
very great things for youth literature. I'm not going to even say children's, YA, whatever, because he's
Yeah.
kind of one of those authors too who does things across the board. I have read one of his middle grade books, or two of his middle grade books, which they now sell as a I think HarperCollins now pushes it as a bind up, and it's The Skeleton Man, which is stupid creepy. Um, and then I read one of his picture books, I think this year, which is about the code talkers. So this is a novel, but I read the picture book, which talks about um, the Navajo Marines
Oh,
who
cool.
were brought in to the war effort to write a code because during the war, the codes that they were writing kept getting broken by enemy forces. I use that very, very lightly. So they brought in members of the Navajo tribe in order to become a part of the Marines to create a code that no one could possibly break except them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's one of those forgotten pieces of history. And it was kept what did he say? It was kept as what is it called when the military won't classified? It was
Classified.
kept it was kept as classified information for a very, very long time, and it hasn't been very long since all of the information was released. But so I'm guessing that this is the actual novel that he wrote. But I read the picture book was really, really great.
Cool.
Yeah.
I was looking it up because I was like, this sounds familiar. So I actually this year read a children's book he just put out, Res Dogs, and it was
Yeah.
great. And it's
Yeah.
about like a little girl dealing with like COVID starting and being on the
Uh-huh.
reservation with her grandparents, and like it was very good.
Are y'all really sitting here asking me questions about purchasing right now during the middle of this live?
Yes, and
Y'all
how
are
interlibrary loans
loans
work.
work. Listen, if we have time at the end of this live, I'll answer them. I was talking about doing a completely separate live, y'all. Not right now.
Sounds great though.
Elsewhere, have you read it?
No, I've seen the author name before,
I have
Gabrielle
two.
Seven. That sounds
Gabrielle 7.
familiar,
I have
but
not
yeah,
read this.
no.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, me either. I also didn't read this. Like I said, me and
Mhm.
historical fiction, it's never my like first first choice.
I read Marcus Zuzak's other book. It was so long ago. And of course, I can't remember the name of it. Let me pull it up. I Am the Messenger. I read that one by him. But that was a long, 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 long time ago. But I'm not surprised that this is on there. I haven't worked myself up to read this one in particular, because I know some things about it and I don't know if I want to put myself through that mentally.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
So what I'm wondering is, okay. I'm like waiting to. I don't know. Like it is weird. There's definitely some omissions here.
Yeah,
Of,
yeah, there's
like
gaps.
big
Yeah,
stuff.
there's huge gaps.
I'm waiting to see if Hunger Games makes it, because if it's not on here, I'm gonna be
Are
like,
you
what?
done? Are you done? Are you completely done? I'm not surprised.
Okay, of course, this is going to be on here.
There's a lot that was skipped. This was published in what, like 2005?
The last one was 2005, so
So what? This was earlier.
probably.
Yeah,
Let me see. Lightning Thief. 2005. Mm-hmm. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's some.
Also, this is middle grade, somebody is saying, which is accurate.
It is accurate. It has, once again, I argue that Rick has crossover appeal. It is middle grade, but if we're talking about, and I think some of this you can think about it in terms of like a ninth grader coming in and not reading on a ninth grade level.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
stuff like that is stuff that, in my position, I would take into account.
Yeah. I guess I feel like the closer we get to modern day, the more I want to be seeing this be legit YA, not
Right?
middle grade.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's see if it happens. I don't even think we're halfway through the list, are we? I haven't been keeping count.
I don't know.
I don't know. If it has anybody been keeping count, y'all know what number we're on, because I don't know what number we're
We're
on at
somewhere.
this point.
We have a ways to go.
Ways to go. Yes, yes. This was a good choice. I don't know who chose this, but whoever chose this, great choice. American Born Chinese by Jin Wen Yang. Oh my gosh, such a great graphic novel for YA. That's
Okay.
a YA graphic novel.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. I definitely YA graphic novels exist, but it's kind of hard. They're doing more now like intentional YA graphic novels. I know DC is for sure being very intentional about doing YA and middle grade graphic novels. But this for sure, this is based off of, or it has inspiration from the Chinese classic The Monkey King. It's not a direct adaptation of The Monkey King, but it has elements of it incorporated. And then it's interesting because Jin Lin Yang wrote this, and then he also wrote the new introduction for the reprint of, I think it's a reprint and a new translation of The Monkey King, which I started listening to The Monkey King, and the audio is very, very good. I just have not finished it yet.
Cool. Yeah, I'm not familiar with this one. I feel like there's going to be a gap in things I know for a few years.
For a few years. Yes. Okay. So this is up my alley now. Sharon Draper, love her. She's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
BookTube doesn't talk about Sharon Draper. I don't even know if BookTube knows that Sharon Draper exists.
I do, because my kid has her. What is it?
The Clubhouse Mysteries.
Clubhouse Mystery series. Yeah.
She this is one of her YA. She's written quite a few YA series. I'm surprised. I'm trying to figure out why they chose this one and not Tears of a Tiger. Tears of a Tiger is her first book and highly acclaimed. And this one is very trauma filled. And I'm just going back to what we were talking about with the trauma. Like, Copper's Son is a slave narrative. And it's one of those YA books that pushes and pushes and pushes and pushes, but it never crosses. It's like it'll fade to black, or it'll stop right before it would get extremely graphic.
Yeah.
But very, very great book. She's an amazing author. I love her. Someone said Out of My Mind, which is a really, really good middle grade book. That I think I read that one for the first time last year. It's really good. But if you've never read Sharon Draper, find something about her, because she also does a little bit of everything. She's done children, middle grade, and YA. This is another good one. I forget when this came out. This is about a young boy who's dealing with some levels of homelessness while his father is incarcerated. But also, once again, trauma story.
Yeah. 2006. So I think this is the year that Twilight came out.
Yes. 2005, 2000. Yeah. Yeah. What? What? No one told me this.
Graceling.
Graceling. Okay, now we're getting into
Yep.
this is YA now.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're just skipping over Harry Potter and Twilight, which informed Graceling. I mean,
That's
and
perfect.
Tamora Pierce. Actually,
Yeah.
this is probably more following on Tamora Pierce, is what I'm going to say. Like, I think this is in line with that. But I'm not surprised it's on the list. Hunger Games. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
Okay.
This needed
Yeah.
to be there.
This is now considered a believe it or not, this is now considered a YA classic.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Even though the official like naming of YA hasn't been that long, but Hunger Games is now considered a YA classic, which is crazy because like I hate the books but love the movies, and that's
Oh,
a
I liked
first.
the books a lot.
Mm-mm.
I haven't reread them in a long time, but I liked the books a lot. I read the books first before the movies came out. Yes, the list is now legit for me, Heather. Thank you. Semi legit. I have heard of this, but
I
I've
haven't.
not, like, it sounds familiar, but I haven't read it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. This is good.
Okay. All
This
right.
is one of those crossover ones that reads like middle grade,
But
but like a
definitely,
younger YA could read
yeah,
it, and
we
it
can
is
put in
very
our
good.
teen section.
Yeah, it's good.
This is interesting. I feel like there's more informed knowledge on this end of YA and not so much on the back end of
Yeah.
YA in terms of like years.
Yeah.
Like there's a broad knowledge here of things, and quite frankly, I feel like it's there's a lot more to choose from in the later years than there is in past years, but it's interesting because the choices that they made for the past years are not choices that I would have necessarily made.
Yeah.
This is interesting. Why is someone shooting fireworks on the 14th of August? That is mind-blowing to me. Goodness gracious. But Yanni said this is like it's like two different lists almost.
Hmm.
That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. It isn't cohesive.
No.
It's not cohesive. It doesn't flow.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
And there's a lot missing, and there are some odd choices. I don't know, like, it's an interesting.
But what's crazy is I
Yeah.
always say, like, when you get into, I mean, it's not a requirement for you to know where your genre, where your age categorization has been, but I think in situations like this, it is important to know, because of something that is the age bracket of YA is so young within itself. I think it's important to know how your age bracket has been informed and shaped by books that may not have been considered or weren't sold as YA because it didn't technically exist
Right.
back then. But I it is now it's reading as two different lists.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that's
yeah,
accurate. Yes, I
yeah,
agree with this. Mhm.
yeah. And it's interesting because of the fact that I think YA is so and it's not necessarily a bad thing because that's the direction that YA needed. I mean, if you look at the history of YA, that's the direction it needed to go in.
Mhm.
Because you had so many voices that were being left out of YA, but it doesn't help if you don't know where it has been.
Right.
because how do you gauge what progress has been made, you know? So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
This is
feel like
very,
it would be a really interesting project to do a video tracing a timeline of the history of YA and doing something cohesive that shows like the way that it's kind of developed. Like that would be interesting.
yeah.
If I ever have time and motivation to make like a video essay, that would be
I
fun.
mean, I did a short video. It wasn't, I mean, this was right after I had the baby, so it wasn't as lengthy as it could have been, but I did a history of YA under my librarian 101 type of series. But that was years ago. And if I were to do something like that again, it definitely would change so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on the list.
Hmm.
It was on the list earlier. Yeah, I am too. I am too. Um, but still, I think that, excuse me, I think for some of the middle grade books that were on here, I think that you can put Virginia Hamilton up there as well. You know what I'm saying? And Virginia Hamilton is
Oh,
when you talk about children's lit or youth literature, Virginia Hamilton is a big name in shaping it in general. So I'm also very surprised by that.
oh yeah, Philip Pullman's not on here.
That's a surprise to me too.
I hadn't even thought about that, but somebody commented and like, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it would be interesting for librarians to sit down and choose,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
Yeah, why would the Golden Compass not be on here? Like, that's weird. It's considered a classic now.
Yeah, yeah.
Robin McKinley. Yeah, there was no Robin McKinley. There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot missing.
Wait, did I miss part of your comment? Maybe it was to something else. They're really shooting fireworks. And I'm so confused right now. Like I'm like literally like, why are y'all shooting fireworks? I wouldn't put this on the list.
It's very popular. Like, yeah.
I wouldn't put it on the list. I wouldn't put it on the list as best, and I would not put it on the list as shaping. That's just me though.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm not sure how much this shaped things. I mean, there's something like it does some interesting things, but I don't know that I would
Yeah,
put it
I
on.
wouldn't. I
I
wouldn't.
but I also feel like we're getting to the point in time where it's going to start being people putting their friends' books on the list.
Yep.
Like that's kind of where we're at this point. So
Yeah, I would not. This would not. I mean, of all the
yeah,
books that were published the same time as this, I would not put this on the list.
yeah, yeah. Yes, I would put this on the list actually. I think this was a big deal, and I do think it was one of the more influential things in doing like political dystopian and
Mhm.
sci-fi stuff. Like I think this is. I'm happy to
I
see
haven't
it.
read it, so I
Okay.
will. Yeah,
Okay.
I would say. Yeah, I will. I know I'm sitting here silent, like, no, no, no. I haven't read it, so I
Okay.
refrain from making commentary.
Okay.
This is a tricky one, and you know what's so crazy about this is that they did not put Twilight or Harry Potter on this list, but they put this book on the list. That's very interesting
It is
because
interesting.
we're knocking people what seemingly appears to be knocking people for um for author behavior.
Well,
Also,
here's the thing. The sequel is coming out this year.
that's some bullshit.
Hmm.
And it's crazy because Adam had just made and this is why I find this funny because Adam's on this panel and Adam just made a comment about this book. about the casual transphobic stuff that was going on in this book.
I'm guessing it has something to do, like, I wouldn't be shocked if one of them is published by the same person, and because the sequel is coming out this fall.
Yeah. This is an interesting choice.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting choice for many different things, because if we're talking about influence, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. It
Uh-huh.
very influential. Very,
Right.
very important.
But how do you make those choices?
But then what's so crazy to me is that if we're talking about influence, if this author was allowed to remain for influence, then S.E. Hinton, J.K. Rowling, and Stephanie Meyer
all should be on
this list as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Because I can't see why those 3 books, which are 3 of the most influential books to YA, are not on this list. And all 3 authors have had bad behavior, piss poor behavior, but you allowed him to sit.
Matched and Divergent. People are talking in the comments. I'm like, good point.
Yeah.
Those aren't on here either.
Where the hell is Crank? Where's Ellen Hopkins? Where is Ellen? Because Ellen be writing some depressing stuff, but it also is very it's influential for its own things. Wow, I'm very, very surprised.
Yeah,
that Crank is not on here.
Yeah, it's interesting choices. How they're like, I'm betting this is a political publishing thing. That's my guess as to why this was included and other things weren't.
Yeah, this is getting interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This is very, very interesting. I don't know how I feel about. All right, let's keep going. Damn, they were on a good streak for a couple.
They were
doing good. They're doing good.
Yep.
That's wild. That's wild to me.
Mm-hmm. I have not read this, but I've heard people love it.
I've heard people love it too, but I'm surprised if they chose Codename Verity over Salt to the Sea. If we're going with impactful historical fiction during this time, I would pick Salt to the Sea over Codename Verity. And that's bias. That's all bias. I'm just saying.
Isn't Salt to the Sea more recent?
Oh,
I think it's a lot more recent.
Ew.
I think.
I don't feel like. Oh, 2016. Yeah. When was Codename Verity published?
I think earlier.
2012.
Okay, so.
The 4-year difference. Okay.
Huh. Interesting.
No. No. No.
I mean, again, I'm not surprised that this would be on here.
David Levithan, yes, as a writer.
Yeah.
But this book by him, no. How about Two Boys Kissing?
This one got made into a movie.
Choices were made here.
Yep.
Choices were made.
Yep.
Like, you're right, Miss. Yeah, the American Library Association needs to. Oh, I don't know if I trust everybody in ALA to do this. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that right now, because ALA, if they're not careful, they're gonna end up like RWA. Not that bad, but they have issues too. No. Would you say yes to this?
I've not read it.
I haven't read it either, but no.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, somebody's saying there hasn't been any John Green yet.
And as much as I can't stand some of the things that happen in John Green books, I acknowledge the man did things for YA.
Oh, 100%. He was influential. Lala hated this book.
Okay, so I didn't call it wrong.
Someone says John Green is coming, so okay.
Okay. Cool. Me, Earl, and no, that's a no. Okay, literally.
There it is. Yeah, I didn't read this either because this is like not my thing, but I think this should be on the list. It was definitely influential. It was a big deal in YA. And yeah.
I checked the other day, and I was very surprised that I have read all of John Green's books except for 2. As much as I talk shit, I have read most of the man's catalog.
I have not read any of them because they don't really like appeal to me.
Yeah. A lot of people don't like The Fault in Our Stars because the characters read too mature for the circumstances, and they don't feel like teenagers, which I can definitely see that. Most of John Green's teens don't feel like teens. They feel like adults who've been put into teenage positions, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Someone put Where's Vampire Diaries, Maze Runner. Well, okay, Maze Runner, you know why that's not on the list is because the author
James Dashner,
James
Bad
Dashner,
Behavior.
yeah, he was
Bad
involved in
Behavior.
like some of the like
What about 13
harassment
Reasons
stuff.
Why? 13 Reasons Why. Very freaking influential.
Very influential,
Bad
but
behavior.
bad behavior. The way they choose, though, who gets on and who doesn't is interesting.
I have not read this one.
I've not either. I read her more recent book and I really liked it. She writes sapphic books,
Okay.
which I guess that's a big deal because that was not a thing being written as much in YA, even when gay stories were being written. So.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is good. Yeah.
Yeah, all 3 of them. There's a new one coming out, actually, that is coming out that John Lewis was writing prior to his death. I think that one releases next month. Yeah. So if you like March, check out that one. I forget. Don't ask me what the title is because I don't remember.
So I don't remember, but yeah, you're right.
New books all day. Yes.
I need to read this. I have it on my shelf. I haven't read it yet.
Also, once again, 2 books by one author feels like filler. I think that if they were going to choose one by Jacqueline Woodson, which is very hard to choose from her catalog in general because she has so many good ones, I would have gone with Brown Girl Dreaming.
Is this YA? Like, it looks like middle grade.
It is cataloged. I'm going off of what we do. It's cataloged for us as children's nonfiction or children's biography.
Okay.
So, middle grade, but is used a lot for YA groups.
Interesting.
YA readers.
Okay. We have a question about what James. So I think James Dashner, from what I understand, was like sexually harassing people and etc. at professional conferences. So fun. He was one of the people when all that stuff in the kid lit arena came out a couple years ago.
That's a shame.
Yep.
That's a hot mess. Okay.
Okay. I haven't read this, but
I haven't read it either.
It won the Stonewall Award.
Yeah, I've heard so much about Janie Nelson, though.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I mean, not in a bad way, but I mean, like, people really like, I mean, I've never read anything by Janie Nelson, but people really, really,
Lala's excited about
this book.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't read this one. Yes, James Dashner was dropped by his publisher for sexual harassment. Thank you. Yes.
John Cornwallis, Noggin.
I have not heard about this.
This book must
a head transplant surgery love story. Is this more sicklet stuff?
Is it sicklet or is it mental health rep?
Okay, might be. I don't know what this is.
Only reason why I asked that because it says.
Chantal, did you see this comment?
The commentary is reading.
The commentary is reading better than Melissa.
I'm so confused about the bells.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean,
that's a good question.
that is a
But
good question.
that book that Danielle and them just put out.
Hmm.
Um
Blackout.
ooh, child.
I bought a copy. I haven't read it yet. How is it good?
No.
Oh no! Oh no! I was I was excited for it.
I was too. And I was telling me and Miss WOC Reader we were talking about it like I think we were talking correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we were talking about it all last week. We were messaging each other talking
Oh
about it.
no.
And she gave it 2 stars. I should have given it 2 stars, but I was being nice. And gave it 3.
Oh no.
I did not like it.
This makes
Angie
me want to
Thomas's
just
story
like,
was
oh,
awful. It
okay, this
was
honestly, this makes me want to just like quietly unhaul it and not.
no, read it. Read it. Because listen, the issue with that one I feel like is that everybody who was writing, and we talked about this a lot, is that we feel like everybody who was writing romance for that book is not a good romance writer. It's not
Oh,
their forte, and that's okay.
yeah.
But it does change the dynamic of a book when you have its focus and we get the purpose of it. Don't get me wrong. This is about Black kids getting their grand love stories without, just like any other group.
Yeah.
They're getting their happily ever afters.
Right.
But it just wasn't executed well. And some people were better at writing because some people just have that, not that they're not good writers, because they're
Yeah.
all very good writers in their own way, but when you start jumping in different genres, your writing that you may do like in contemporary or realistic fiction cannot carry over to romance.
No.
It's and Angie, God bless her soul.
Oh no.
I really I love her writing. It's crazy because I love her writing and other stuff when she does contemporary realistic fiction, but it did not work here for romance.
Oh boy. Well,
Yeah. Yep. See, yeah, a lot of
yeah. Yeah. I'm like Danielle, for me at least, she can do tragic love stories pretty well, but like I don't know how she does with happy love stories. Have been more hit and miss with me from her when I've read stuff. But
yeah.
interesting. So
Yeah.
I was just realizing, what is not on this list?
What?
Garth Nix.
Let's just keep going because the more
Okay.
that we sit here and we think about, I feel like the more aggravated I'm going
Yeah.
to get.
I mean, yeah. All right.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Listen, let me tell y'all a little something. I just interviewed Kwame Alexander like 2 weeks ago. Coolest freaking human on the planet. Oh my gosh. Y'all. Kwame's really cool. He's like laid back, chill guy. If you've never read any of his stuff, he definitely crossover, I think, is more middle grade,
Uh-huh.
but it does have YA appeal, and he does write exclusively YA stuff as well. And you should read the crossover. It is about to become a Disney Plus adaptation, so just
Oh,
waiting
cool.
for all of a sudden everybody to start reading the book because the TV show is going to be coming out soon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh no. Miss WC Reader is saying had to shelve Black Boy Joy because she felt like she was getting beat over the head with intent. I'm like, oh no.
No, no,
That was another one that looked really good. I'm like,
no,
oh no.
no, don't say that. No.
Oh.
Oh. Oh.
Shoot.
He's homeboy. He's homeboy. That's it. Ain't nobody taking Jason's spot right now. He's like the cool homeboy that I could go and have drinks with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jason is bae. I'm not cheating on him. Can y'all leave me alone? I'm not cheating on my husband. Yes.
Okay. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, this should be on the
yeah.
list.
It
And
should be
Jenny
on.
Han was part of the panel. You
Yes.
know, they're all going to have one of their own books on here. I mean, because
Yeah.
that's how this goes. So,
I saw this when I did the Cosmopolitan reaction. This was on the Cosmopolitan list, and I definitely agree
yeah.
because Jenny Han started something different in terms of Asian representation in a contemporary story, focusing on romance, family. Like, we see a lot of that now. I think going into 2021, I've read a lot of that this year, a lot of contemporary romance books that are focused on Asian leads. And Jenny Han, I feel like, definitely got a lot of that going. Not saying that it didn't happen before her,
Hmm.
but she got the ball rolling even faster with this trilogy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. And I agree, Chantal. Love this for one that is POC rep that isn't struggle lit.
Yeah. It
That
isn't
too.
struggle lit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is not struggle lit.
I love also how many people are very upset now that they've noticed Sabriel isn't on here. Yeah. Okay, yes.
I
I
mean, I
mean,
hated this book, but I love her as a human.
yeah.
So
I really liked the book also, and
yeah.
I do feel like this was a big deal again in terms of like POC rep in epic
Mm-hmm.
fantasy. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that was and also like it gets darker. It's a more intense, mature take on
Mm-hmm.
fantasy for YA too. I think I liked it a lot.
Yeah. I always tell people that, like, I adore Sama Tahir as a human. I think she's wonderful. I just didn't like the book. But I can see
Okay.
why. I can see why it's here.
Yeah. I really liked the book. So, but I read the whole series and
Yeah. Did you
they were good.
did you finish? You finished it this year?
Yeah, I finished. Yeah, I think this year. Yeah, I read the
I can't
last
remember
one.
if it was last year or the time. I don't know.
It
But I
might have been
remember
it might have
I
been the
remember
end.
you
It might
reading
have been the end of last
last
year
year.
that I
Okay.
finished
Okay.
it. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they were good. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Fat
like,
Rat?
yeah, I mean, I think this was one of the first, major popular books to have good fat rep for YA. So I think that's,
Mm-hmm.
influential. And it was a decent book. It wasn't like my favorite, but like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Oh
I'm
no,
not
of
saying
course there's no Cassie Clare. Are you like they're not going to put Cassie Clare or Sarah
well,
J.
no.
Maas because they don't like them.
No. Yeah. You will not see. Yeah. You won't see Cassie Clare or Sarah J. Maas
No,
on this list.
no.
Even though Cassie Clare.
Both of them were hugely influential. I'm just saying.
They are.
There's also no Raven Boys, no Maggie Steve Water. I'm betting, and I mean maybe I'm wrong, but like that was also influential for a certain type like branch of YA. So
Bad behavior.
bad behavior.
Bad behavior.
Yeah, a lot of this is like them just being like, we don't like you, you did bad stuff, and so we're leaving you off the list. Like,
Yeah,
which is
that I
interesting.
think I mean is of course no one is gonna officially say, but I do feel like whether intentional or not, um, people who have had bad behavior were not put on this list. Whether that was a dislike or a fear for controversy or wanting to keep this list as quote unquote clean as possible in terms of author behavior,
Hmm.
I can see why they did that. However, I still go back to Aristotle and Dante.
Yeah,
That's a weird choice to me. That
yeah,
is such a weird choice.
yeah.
It is still going strong. Yanni's right. It's still
It
going
is. I mean,
strong.
I'm still reading them. I started reading them when I was in my early 20s, and I'm still reading those
And
books.
people still request them like crazy at the library, y'all.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like having to reorder copies because they get damaged over time and people still checking them out. Like as much as you may say about Cassie, whether her characters are generic, whether she plagiarized, whatever you want to say, at the end of the day, the woman has put in the work and the
Yeah.
series has made its impact.
Well,
It's a very
she was also one of the first like authors she was also like one of the first authors published by like in like a big series, big imprint to have gay characters on page kissing in a YA book. like that she was like among the first to do that. So like she's done also important things just for the genre in general. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, once again, this is what I go back to, and I stand on this, and people are going to disagree. I mean, you could disagree, agree with it, whatever, how you feel. Y'all know how I roll. Um, when making a list like this, from the lens that I view it, it is very hard to sit here and say, this person has done this in the past, so we're not
Mm-hmm.
going to include them. You're erasing, and it's important for YA because YA is so new. And right
Right.
now in publishing, YA is making leaps and strides in a very, I want to say abnormal way, but in a way that I think a lot of people could not have anticipated 10, 15 years ago. So it's important to have these points of references, um, for people to be knowledgeable of the age, so you don't, first of all, so you don't have authors strolling in thinking that this is the first time that stuff like this has been done. That to me is always a problem. Like that was also an issue that I had with Blackout. I understand what they were trying to do, but it also came across as it hadn't been done before, and that's not true. It
Yeah.
had been done before, not prevalent, and probably with more obscure titles, but you're erasing work that people have already done. There's nothing wrong with building on what has already been built as a foundation, or
Mm-hmm.
strengthening the foundation to continue to build, but you have to acknowledge it. Not acknowledging Twilight, not acknowledging Harry
Yeah.
Potter, not acknowledging The Outsiders, not acknowledging Mass and Claire, it is a
Mm-hmm.
problem.
Yeah.
Like you just, you, even I even go as far to say 13 Reasons Why, because when that TV show came out, and that book, that was a required book for reading for me in school, in graduate school.
Mm-hmm.
We had to look at the impact and the influence that the not only the book was having, but in correlation with the TV show coming out, how that worked together and what that was doing for YA. So stuff like that is very important to look at from a critical point of view. And
Yeah.
when you make lists like this, where it's like definitive top 100 YA books of all time, I mean, it's,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
good point. If there's going to be lists, they need to be clear cut. It
Yeah.
needs to be most impactful and best must read. And some of
Yeah.
these that are they're tagging as the best of YA is BS, because it's not the best of YA.
I mean, I agree. So it was interesting. Somebody earlier, I think, commented saying this. I think this list needs to be bipartisan, which I mean, that's kind. I mean, that's like low key what kind of what it is, which is interesting.
Lydia.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I want nothing to do with her, and I don't want to put money in her pocket.
No. I don't even want to, like, I don't even like talking about
Um,
the woman, to be honest with you,
yeah,
but it stands, and that's what makes conversations about stuff like this so difficult, in terms of, like, when you're talking about history and influence and top books, and that's what makes it so complicated, because she has created this web of garbage that we have to sift through. But at the end of the day,
yeah,
it is what it is, unfortunately.
yeah. Well,
Uh,
I do think it's interesting. I feel like a lot of the things that are missing here, not all of it, but a lot of it is stuff that girls have been very into,
mhm.
which is interesting to me. Like making a list like this, where you kind of cut out things that were pop, because people mention also like right, like Gossip Girl and like these things, Nancy Drew, things that were a big deal that maybe aren't like maybe you feel like they're silly because I just wonder like how those choices are made, because some of the stuff I think is stuff that's just like very, I mean, Harry Potter is its own, that's a whole other thing, but like there is stuff
Yeah.
missing that I'm like, okay, how much of this is like, well, even though it sells really well and it's important and was influential in the different trends that happened in YA, we're just going to ignore Vampire Diaries and Twilight and all the other vampire stuff that came after it. Just ignore the whole trend because it like appeals to teen girls. I don't know, you know? Like
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how. We trash the entire
I mean, I have a whole playlist on a
this is a whole
playlist of,
playlist.
I have a playlist of like our rereading Twilight. Like it's not good. Like it's very problematic,
It
but
is, but
it was influential
yeah,
and led to a whole like years of other vampire
exactly.
stories, you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
exactly it. This feels like what adult me would like rather than teen me. Yes, that
Yes.
is exactly it. Like this is what
Yes.
teachers want teenagers to be reading. This is not what
Mhm.
teenagers are actually
What they're
buying.
actually reading.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm
Yeah.
looking at some of these books like, no.
Yeah. Oh, Aragon. Someone mentioned Aragon. Yeah, like it's a
Yeah.
lot of the fantasy, the romance, like the stuff that teenagers are actually reading a lot of. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that too. Ugh.
It's interesting.
No. No.
She was on the panel.
No, I wouldn't even. But even with Nicola Yoon, it's crazy. Even with Nicola Yoon being on this panel, I wouldn't out of the two books because they wouldn't have taken her book. What's the book that she just came out with? I see the cover. It's a very beautiful cover.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're saying.
Instructions for Dancing. A lot of people, I know they wouldn't have taken that book into consideration, but
Yeah.
out of the two books prior to that, Everything, and then The Sun is Also a Star. I would not choose Everything out of those two. I would put The Sun is Also a Star on here before Everything, to be honest. But
Oh, someone said her other one is on here too.
what the fuck? Sorry, I hope this does not get oh, it's gonna get flagged. I mean, I curse all the time though, so it should be good. But with lives, I never know. Like
Yeah.
literally, I never know with lives. Um, Okay, first of all, that's unfair because technically, at the time that they were probably compiling this list, she only had two books published.
No. What?
Nicola
No.
Yoon, she only had two solo books published, correct?
Is that right? I thought she
Yeah,
had.
she owned no. Nicola Yoon only had she's written part, I think, of some anthos, but she only had everything, and The Sun is Also a Star at the time that this list probably was in the works.
Oh, yeah.
So for both of her books to be on this list,
Yeah.
that's a problem.
Yeah.
That is a
Yeah.
problem.
Oh, and Elizabeth Acevedo does too? What? It's because they're on the panel. That is so sketch to me. They did this with the
With the fantasy, you
fantasy
pointed that
list.
out.
They
You
did
pointed
that with
that
the
out.
fantasy list too. It's sketchy. All right then. Oh yes, think The Princess Diaries is acceptable girliness. Twilight and Gossip Girl are not, is what I'm getting from this list. Yeah, I mean,
No,
look,
you don't need to put both of the March books. If you put
no,
one, we know
just
you mean
put
the whole
one.
damn trilogy.
Yeah, just put one.
Filler. It's filler. It's
Yeah,
filler because they couldn't. They didn't have the gall to put the books on here that should have been on this list. Damn,
yeah.
man.
This makes no sense. Like, no.
This really just made they were doing so good. Of
Yeah.
course, Adam's book is going to be on here.
Okay.
Um,
I mean,
this is the only book that I've read by Adam.
I have not read this one. The only one I've read is the only one I've finished is They Both Died at the
That one is getting a lot of like attention at my library right now, like
Mhm.
excessive holds on it.
It's
And I don't
good.
know. I wonder too is if they announced because a TV show is also in the works for
Oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think They Both Die at the End is good. Like it's not totally my thing so much, but like I think it's good. I DNF'd his like his fantasy
Oh,
book.
what
It
is it?
was
Infinity Sun?
yeah, it was
I heard
not.
the book is
It was
horrible.
bad. It was no. Yeah, I DNF'd that one.
Um,
If that's on this list, I will throw a fit.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Bro, what in the world? Okay, now I haven't read enough to say whether this should be the one that should be on the list because this is the only one that I've read. I do like this book though.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like More Happy Than Not. It has a very interesting twist to it, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. When I make the list, it's just Ace of Spades 100 times. Look, Ace of Spades is so good.
5-star, one of my favorite books of 2021.
Same. It's like
Oh
on my
gosh.
favorites shelf. Oh my gosh. It's
Oh my
so
gosh.
good.
So good.
good.
So good.
This book should absolutely be on the list. Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda for
It
sure.
should.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
should be
it
on
should.
there.
Although I had some people who were pretty upset at me because they were like, own voices, because I had made the comment. I said, I think I said like this, I could definitely see why this is on the list. Although I think that I have seen quite a few own voices reviewers who don't enjoy it. And some people were like,
it's a mixed bag. Like some do and some don't.
Some don't. And some people got upset. They were like, own the voices ruined it for Becky Abbott. And I'm like, listen, y'all, I know what I know. I understand that. This is a very complicated thing because Becky Albertalli should not have been forced to out herself.
Right.
And it brings in, but the conversation it brings into question. Once again, I go back to that whole thing with what Jacqueline Woodson said. Why are you wanting to write this story?
Yeah.
About an experience that's not your own. That doesn't mean that you have to force someone to out themselves. But I think there's a conversation that is good to have there.
Yeah. What? You didn't like Ace of Spades? How? Oh, goodness.
Ms. W.C. Reader is also an extremely critical reader, so
that's true. I always love reading her reviews after I write mine because, like, sometimes I'm like, yeah, totally, and sometimes I'm like, what? How did you not like this?
yeah. She's extremely critical.
That's good. I mean,
what is going on with this list, though?
This has been a big deal. The show just came out. Like, this was iconic. If they were gonna pick a Leigh Bardugo book, this was the one to pick. So.
Why are no librarians ever part of these list making things? It's confusing me that the people who are actively involved in this, who not only write this stuff, are friends with people who write this stuff. Why are librarians not asked to make these lists? Specifically, teen librarians or people who work in youth collection development departments. Why are they not asked to make these lists? Because
yeah. I mean, I do think this book has had an impact because, like, after she started this series, it spawned, like, a bunch of other sort of Russian-inspired fantasy books. It also inspired a bunch of other YA heist stories. And I think this is probably the best one to go with. Like, it's a good book with iconic characters. It's got disability representation and bisexual representation. Like, I think, like, I'm not upset this is on the list.
I haven't read it. So.
Okay.
Esperanza Rising, Pam Munoz Ryan. Is that by Pam Munoz Ryan or am I bugging? I could be bugging. It's not that far-fetched. Yeah, okay, I was right. Okay, yeah. Yeah, librarians do choose Newbery Awards. Librarians choose all of the major literary awards that you see for youth. So that's like the William Morris Award, the Prince Award, the Newbery Award, the Caldecott Award. We have our hands all in that. We choose awards for YA as well. The Morris Award and the Prince Award are YA awards. Which is why I don't understand. Why are we not why has time not asked us?
Yeah.
Hey, can y'all make these lists?
Yeah.
Because we pick out the awards for all the literary awards, our librarians picking these books out. So
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Going back to this question, Pam Yunus Ryan, very, very influential. Um, I believe that she has also won the Pura Belpra Award. I know she has. I don't know why I'm saying I think she has won that award. Um, I a lot of her stuff reads younger middle grade children's with not a high level of YA crossover appeal. And I'm thinking that's why she's not on the list.
Mm.
I would be hesitant to put her on this list. But she is amazing. If you've never read Pam Yunus Ryan, I highly recommend her. The last book of hers that I read was Manana Land. I read that one last year. And that one I would recommend doing a blended read of because I believe it has illustrations. And then the audiobook actually has legitimate like music in it. Which it was just a really, really great.
That's
It's
cool.
great, great, great. Yeah.
Some
Okay.
people are wondering why Bardugo and not Moss and Cassandra Clare. I think it's because Lee Bardugo has been the least controversial.
Yes.
Basically, I think that's why.
By far.
Yeah, like
By
that's
far.
why. That's why she's on here.
After what has been going on with Moss in the past month or so, ain't no way she was finna make this list.
I mean, she just hasn't. Oh, well, that's another conversation. But
Right.
yeah.
Oh yes.
Okay, so this was on there.
I was wondering if y'all weren't here earlier, I saw Codename Verity had made the list, and I was wondering if Salt to the Sea was going to make this list. And I do always speak highly of this book. I always speak highly of Ruta Sepetys, because she took hush, Yanni. Y'all have been dragging me tonight, and I just don't know like what's going on. But Salt of the Sea, I think the reason why I wanted to see this one on the list is because it takes what is traditionally um, a time in history that is often written about in YA books. During this time, it would be World War I, World War II, and it gives a completely different lens. I mean, this is about, I believe it is the worst maritime disaster outside of the Titanic, and it's never taught in school. And it was over 10,000 people, I believe, died in all of the stuff that was happening with ships. And this one focuses on one specific one, and it's told from four different perspectives, and it takes place in Lithuania. So very, very different, very sad. I did a review on this one and talked about how it made me big girl cry, and I don't cry a lot with books. This had me bawling, 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 bawling,
Oh goodness.
bawling. I really do feel like, I mean, I was pregnant at the time too.
I mean,
And I was listening to depressing classical music as I was reading it. They probably added fuel to the fire. Yeah, Kathleen, I want to read that one. I have a copy of that one. I haven't read it yet, but I do want to read that. Okay, let me not press. Bethany?
sorry, I got distracted. But yes, I mean, I think this was pretty good and seems to be like a thing a lot of people have read. I never finished the series, but I do think the series was a big deal. I liked the first book. Like, I'm interested in continuing on with them. I don't know. I mean,
I only
don't
asked
know.
you because I knew that you had read it. I haven't read it.
I mean, I liked it. I thought it was interesting. Like, it was like had some interesting
It
things.
says no. The
Yeah, the
chat is
chat is like,
saying,
why is this on here?
he said no.
Yeah.
The verdict is no. You know what I found out in an interview? Let me tell you something that's really
Mm.
strange. So we're currently doing an audit of our collection, right?
Yeah.
So we have to, part of the audit includes like identifying whether an author is BIPOC or not. And I found an interview with BuzzFeed where like Neil Schusterman was like, I never identified as a person of color. And I was like, huh? So apparently, I don't know if he still feels that way, but he doesn't. And he had taken a 23andMe DNA test
Uh-huh.
and found out that he had some North African heritage, but he never considered himself a person of color. Here I was thinking that the man was black. I thought he was black.
I think like some of his photos make him look more that way than others.
Yeah, he looked black
Like
in the
it,
picture. I was like, it's a black
yeah,
man.
yeah. So yeah, no, it depends on the pictures you see of him.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just
I
yes,
was like,
yes,
I was so confused.
yeah,
I was like, wait, I
fair.
thought Schusterman was black.
No.
Thought it was a black man. So when I read that interview, I was like, what you mean you're not black? He said, what? See,
Yeah,
I'm not the only one.
yeah.
See?
No, he's not. He like in some, depending on like the picture, he can look kind of like he might be, but it just depends.
He looks black. Right. Thank you, y'all. Okay. I thought I was bugging. He looks black, but he's not black, y'all. So when I read that interview, I was like, hold up now.
Everybody's so confused.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's not, yeah.
No, I think he's is he yeah.
I don't know what he is.
Like is he Jewish? Like I think I don't know.
I don't know.
But
I
yeah,
have no
it's
idea.
uh he does look like he could be biracial. He's probably like a mixed origin, but yeah. It's his yeah. It's his I mean, it's his hair. You're right. It's his hair.
Everybody's just- Y'all, because it was the complexion and the hair. And this man said, I've never identified as a person of color. I said, whoa, wait, 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 wait. Yeah.
So I've seen him in person once, and like in person, he doesn't look black, if that makes any sense. Like he looks like Mediterranean, maybe, like. But I think some of the pictures he had, I don't know. It's interesting.
Erica.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Oh my
His
gosh.
his it is kind of funny because like if you see him with his son, because he writes with his son,
Yeah.
um, and like it's just
It's pretty, I guess
like
it's not
okay,
even
so
that
like
he's
I
not,
don't know if you guys can see like okay, so like that's him and his son, and they
man.
write together sometimes. Anyway, it's interesting. Yeah.
But listen, but it's not even y'all. It's not even that him saying like he's not black. It's the fact that he said he doesn't identify as POC. So I was very confused. Because
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? Like, so I was just confused.
Well, I thought it was really fascinating. Okay, so this reminded me of a whole Twitter conversation I saw like a couple months ago that hadn't known about is Johnny Cash's wife was black.
What?
Yeah. So she said she was like Sicilian, but she wasn't. She was black. And in some pictures, if you look them up, you can tell she was like kind of passing as white but like in the movie they made a while back, they had a white woman play her. But if you look at photos of her and like there was a whole thing where people like they were getting people from the KKK were angry, so they released a press release saying her family was Sicilian or something, or Italian and not black. Um,
What?
but yeah,
I mean, Johnny Cash had a little bit of jungle fever.
it's interesting. Yep.
I can't. I can't.
Yeah, because there was a one of the that what is that show where like celebrities find out about their ancestry?
Oh, I have no idea.
So her daughter went on that show and found out she was related to somebody. I'm trying to remember who it was, but it's like a famous black actress, basically, that they're like distant cousins. So, yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was really interesting.
It's in the non-USA, and he doesn't look black. Yeah, it's okay. For me, I definitely thought he was black. Okay, just from the pictures, he looked black, and it was shocking to find out that he did not identify as a person of color. And it goes to show, I guess this whole conversation come full circle is that we learned quickly when doing an audit that it's very hard to look at an author and put them into a box, because I would have put him as a BIPOC author. I mean, if we're going off of appearances, hair, like, he's not white completely. In my eyes, he's not white completely. So, yeah, that's where I'm coming from with that.
Yeah. Okay, there's the other one.
Was she on this? She's on this panel, right? She was on the panel.
Yes, she was on the panel. Yep.
And you telling me she felt okay sitting there and being like, yeah, two of my books should be on this list.
Yeah.
When
Oh,
she
by the way, it's for people who are wondering, it's Vivian is the wife that was. So like here's a photo. I mean, she's
Yeah, I think too, nationality, ethnicity, and race are confusing. Black is a race.
Yeah.
And that's a social construct. Black has nothing to do with nationality, ethnicity. You can be black and be anywhere in the world. Because that's man-made. Which I think confuses people a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Aaron, if I was on the panel, I would have put all my books on there and even
Hell, why not?
Why not? Because clearly that's what we're doing. We are the ants.
Okay. I mean, I know a lot of people love this. I've not read it.
I haven't read it either, but I'm just thinking of all the modern books they could have chosen. Where are these coming from? Like,
I feel like it's probably people they're buds with, you know?
wait. Okay. Here it goes. Lala pops in whenever a book comes up that she really loves, or she really hates.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I really liked this.
Okay.
It's a little, I mean, it made me cry, which like nothing makes me, not nothing, but very few books make me cry. It's a little controversial, I've found, because like I have heard some trans people say it can be triggering because it has a trans character talking about menstruation, like a trans boy. But I loved it. I thought it was beautiful, and I do think she's been kind of iconic in magical realism and YA.
I would agree, and I have not, and it's crazy because I have yet to read anything that they have written.
Yeah.
However, I do know the impact that they have had in terms of magical realism
Yeah.
in YA. I think
Yeah.
that that is extremely,
Yes. Thank you, Rebecca. Yes.
um, yeah, not Lala. This is bringing
I
Lala.
did love this book. It was beautiful.
This list is bringing me joy. Now, at what point did it start bringing you joy? Tell me what book, because I need to know.
The last one.
Okay. Okay. Mm, I wonder if they have more than one of hers on this list.
Was she part of the panel?
No.
Okay.
I think Yanni, what do you mean?
There's a
Um,
lot of controversy over what counts as magical realism.
I
I
yeah,
think it
I
so I think it is magical realism,
uh-huh.
but yeah.
I mean, I've heard of the discussions about who has the right to use the term magical realism, but
Yeah,
um
interesting. I have not read. I want to read from her, but I have not yet because I'm nervous because I hear
uh,
they're really intense. But so I don't really have a commentary on it.
um I feel like she should be on this list regardless because of the work that she's doing in terms of mystery and thriller
Hmm.
in YA, and honestly with White Smoke.
I'm so excited for that.
Holy shit. Okay, I
I
don't know if
saw you tweeting
you
about it.
saw my tweet.
I pre-ordered it. I really want to read it.
I have never, and that was not a lie. I literally was sitting in this chair reading the book and I was like, yo, I can't read this anymore. Like my neighbor literally walked upstairs and like when I say like I jumped, I was like, no, I think this is not a book for me to be, and I don't scare like that with books. But Tiffany D. Jackson, she deserves
I
because
cannot
White
wait.
Smoke.
I'm so excited.
Oh, y'all, I'm almost finished with that book, and I cannot tell y'all need to have that book pre-ordered. You need to ask your libraries to get it, whatever. You need to get
Yeah,
your hands on that book because it is so good. Oh
I'm
my
ready.
gosh, it's so
Yeah,
good.
I've got it pre-ordered. I'm so excited. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that she deserves to be on this list.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know how to debate which book should. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because she has such an interesting grouping in general of books that she writes,
Yeah.
and the topics that she covers, but she definitely deserves to be here in general.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I got denied for a NetGalley arc of White Smoke.
White Smoke.
It's okay. Pre-ordered it. This is great, but
Yes,
nobody
it
reads
is.
it. It's so good.
It's so good. And
Okay.
nobody, I don't really know too many people who've read American Street,
Yeah,
but it's good.
it is really good.
It is really, really good. And it is one of those, and I don't want to say obscure because I know people who have read it, but it's not a lot of people who have read it. And a lot more people talk about Pride, which is weaker, in my opinion,
Yeah,
than American Street. American Street it was good.
it was very good.
It was really, really
Yeah,
good.
I kind of feel like the cover isn't doing it a lot of favors.
It's not. It's not not for the
Not
story.
for what the book is.
Yeah, not for what the book is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's very good. What? What?
Wait, when you gave what 5 stars? American Street?
American Street? Why? Why are people upset about? I don't understand.
Yeah, no, American Street
It's really
definitely
good. I
is
mean, for,
really
like,
good.
about, like, the immigrant experience, like, oh, man, it's great. So
Yeah, yeah, it does a lot with I think what I loved about this book is that it shows a difference between Black Americans and those who are part of the Black diaspora.
yeah.
I there's a huge difference, and I think that it's easy for a lot of people to lump it together, and it's
Mhm.
not
Yeah,
the same at all. And you see
yeah.
that in the main character because she's from Haiti, right?
I think so. Yeah,
She's
Haiti,
coming from Haiti and she's going to Detroit.
Detroit, and dealing with
And
what it's like. And
and
I
it
liked the slight paranormal elements.
yeah, it's slight paranormal. Um I think that it definitely it highlights, like, the differences, and it's a huge cultural shock for her. And it was very important to me because I have family that they're Black Americans, and then they're part of the Black diaspora, and
Mhm.
they're very, very two different things in my opinion.
Yeah. No, it's really good. Well, yeah, she is, and she
Yeah,
practices, like, her, religion. I can't think of the term for it, but
yes, Aaron, definitely. Prayers up for Haiti right now too.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a fantastic book, and it's really good. It is basically about, like, this teen girl who immigrates from, I think, Haiti to
Mhm.
Detroit, and is having to figure out, like, being with Black Americans and how
Mhm.
different that is. And
Yeah.
voodoo, yeah, she practices voodoo, but,
Yeah.
like, the religious form of it, not like the American idea of creepy whatever stuff.
And it's definitely, I agree here. I agree that it is her strongest, and it's one that does not
I
get,
agree.
I think, I mean, in the literary world, clearly this was a National Book Award finalist. It does get its attention there,
Mhm.
um but not so much, I think, in the booktube sphere
Yeah.
of things. It doesn't get a lot of
Yeah.
attention.
I like everything I've read from her, but I agree that I think this is her strongest.
It's strongest, yeah. Pride for me was not it.
I loved Pride,
Mm-mm.
but I think the thing is I also love Pride and Prejudice, and I think what's great about it is a retelling of the social themes of the original. It's not
Mhm.
so much a retelling of the romance, which I think is what a lot of people expected. But, like, as a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, or a remix of it on its social themes about, like, classism and stuff, like, it's great.
Mhm. I felt like she could have done more. I think what my biggest hiccup was is that I felt like it was too close, in terms of Pride and Prejudice, and I think that she could have done more with the gentrification part of it.
Mm.
It was not what I was expecting from from her as an author. I think I wanted just a little bit more. Yeah. I knew she was going to be on the list because I saw her post on Instagram, which is, I mean,
I didn't read this one, um, but I
mhm.
know about it.
There's some interesting things, conversations that are happening. Miss WC Reader, chime in on this about um, YA authors still writing not only trauma but writing for the white gaze.
Yeah.
And as much as I love Nick, I love Angie, um, they have kind of been looped into that. There's some interesting things that happened, I think, or some things that have been happening with terms of like love interest with um a lot of black YA authors in the books that they're writing. I mean, that's a whole different conversation, which is why I think that so many people appreciated Wings of Ebony, because unlike a lot of what we have been seeing, Wings of Ebony was unapologetically black. Um, it was very much so unapologetically black, but that's, I mean, that's a,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it was a portrayal. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot
Mm.
of, yeah, 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 yeah. But I definitely, I mean, I've read Dear Martin, and I've raved about Dear Martin. It was a 5-star read for me. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I haven't read this, but I've heard
I
it's
haven't read it
good.
either.
Again, though, we're getting a lot of struggle trauma books,
Mm-hmm.
like more so
Mm-hmm.
than other things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I have heard it's really good.
I DNF'd it.
And I
Huh.
decided I'm not going to read it after I saw you talk about it.
Yeah, I DNF'd it. It was too much. It was too dense. And it made the story extremely hard to follow. I think Miss WC Reader, I think she may have finished it, but I couldn't I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And it was one of my most anticipated releases of the year. I had an arc of it. I got the audiobook of it to try it that way. And I don't know if I'm ever going to revisit that one. I think that's one that I just have to let go. And I was very upset about it because of the fact that it, it's based off of her experience
Oh,
being.
She DNF'd it
You
too.
did have to too. Yeah, it was too dense. It was she wrote it in a way that, like, and it's not even for those of us who, like, because I have family that's Jamaican, so it wasn't even a lack of me not understanding the cultural differences there. Um it just straight was, it was too much for what it should have been. I don't even know how to explain it.
Mm.
It was boring. It was boring as hell.
Yep.
It was boring.
That's
Yeah, we
unfortunate.
both said, we were like, no.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, yeah.
Happens. I think sometimes, I don't know, sometimes you get books that are more about the idea and the execution is like
Yeah.
not as good as it could have been.
It's not, yeah, it wasn't good. Yeah.
Oh, this is so good.
Yes, boo.
So good. This should be
Yes,
on
boo.
here. 100%. So good.
Yeah, I definitely, out of all of his works, um uh, actually, I'm surprised that, I wonder if they have the boy in the black suit up in here as well, or if they have, what's this other one, How It Went Down. I wonder if that's up here, because those two are also good. Not How It Went Down. I'm thinking of, that's Kekla. Um, which I'm surprised that Kekla Magoon is not on this. Never mind. Let me just stop talking about who is not on this list, because it's just going to make me upset. It's When I Was the Greatest. I'm surprised. That's interesting. That's interesting. I mean,
Well, this one
I
won a lot of awards. They turned it into a graphic novel, and it's fantastic. I mean,
all
it's
of his
very
stuff is
good.
fantastic. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Not All American Boys.
That
I
was
liked it,
that was co-written.
and it was co-written.
Yeah.
Um,
I haven't read that. I haven't read. I've actually only read two things by Jason Reynolds, and one of them I don't think you liked that much, but I did,
oh, the
which
Miles
was his
Morales
Miles
book. Yeah,
Morales
no,
one.
I did
I
not like his Miles Morales. No,
I
no,
loved it. I thought it was great.
no.
But
Yeah,
you read comics more, which I
yes,
wonder how much that's a part
it
of it.
does. It impacts. I'm very weary of any YA or middle grade adaptation of any comics. Like, somebody sent me an adaptation of Black Canary's origin story, and I'm very weary of stuff like that because of the fact that I read so many comics that
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't translate well. All of his stuff is fantastic. Okay, it is. This one is interesting because I think I've read this book 3 times within the past year.
Oh wow.
Um, and I've read the graphic novel. There's some hidden things in this book, and I can't put my finger on it yet because it ends in such an obscure way.
I love the ending.
Um, and I'm not gonna even say it on here, but um he said something at the event that I was at last year about the ending, and then there's a picture on his Instagram of him standing next to a whiteboard of something that a student had figured out, and
Mm-hmm.
the way that the picture was taken, the glare covers what she figures out, and he doesn't tell you what it is. So I literally keep rereading this book because I feel like there's something that I'm missing, and I don't know what it is because he won't tell us
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah, but he's written so many good ones. So I would include this one.
Okay. I've never
As a nonfiction piece, I would include this one.
I've never heard of it.
I read the 57 Bus either last year or the year before last year, one of the two. I think it might have been in 2019. I read the 57 Bus. It is an account of what happened. It's a Black boy who lights the dress of, I believe the individual was non-binary. I can't remember if were they trans. I can't remember, but it was considered. It was a big deal because of the fact that it would have been considered a hate crime. But what was interesting about the way that the 57 Bus was constructed is that you see two teams, and you get the backstory of how this incident even happened, and what this kid who had committed the wrong act, what he had been taught. There's this questioning about the development of the teen brain, especially that frontal lobe where decision making happens, and how it's not fully developed, which leads to them making more rash decisions without thinking about the consequences. And then you also get to see what happens on the legal side when he's getting prosecuted, and how you have I don't want to say the prosecution team, but you get what I'm saying. They When they pull him in to question him, you can see how the questions are leading and how they frame certain things to make it so it can be classified as a hate crime. It is very it's it's good. It's really, really good because it shows two sides of a coin, because it's easy to look at this incident and say, like, why would someone do something like that? That's a hate crime. But when you start to dig and you see just even the lifestyles of these two kids, one coming from, a lower socioeconomic area, like how all of that ties together to lead to this one event. So it's sad, and it is slightly depressing, but it is a very powerful book. And we have not had any nonfiction on this list, which is also kind of telling. But I'm glad that they included at least this one nonfiction piece. Oh, we have had nonfiction. I lied. We had March and Persepolis. So four nonfiction.
Oh man. Okay. I mean, of course.
Yeah. I mean, are we surprised? No.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. The leading questions that they asked, you could tell that it was a setup. It was sad. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If Lala's still here.
I haven't read this one either.
I think Lala. Well, I feel like Lala's read this one. Yeah. Okay. I was like,
there she is.
I feel like this was said. I feel like this is one of Lala's books. Yeah, I have a copy of this one. I still have not read it yet.
Yeah, I haven't read this one. I have not read this, but I know people have a lot of feelings about it.
I haven't read it either. I've never read anything by Nina LaCour.
Yeah, I don't know. Sad books are never something I reach for on my own generally.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll read them for other reasons and end up
Mhm.
liking them, but it's just not like
Yeah, for those of you who read Nina LaCour, if to put Nina LaCour on this list, what book would you have chosen?
good question. Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
would
just
actually have this one. Yeah, I
yeah.
would have this one on the list. I remember when Dimple Met Rishi first came out,
Hmm.
and I would keep that one on the list. I really, really do like that book.
It is good.
Yeah.
Cute. Interesting choice. I've not read this. I've heard people talk about it. I don't know
Mhm.
why it's on the list. Like based on what I've heard.
I've never read Tahara Mafi.
I cannot get into her writing. Like I
Yeah.
have tried 2 books from her, like a YA in the middle grade and have
Mhm.
DNF'd both of them. Like I can't read her writing style. This one I want to say deals with like 9/11 or something, and the fact that this is what they chose out of all of her books seems weird to me because I actually think if you were gonna choose one of her books,
Mhm.
like you should go with her the one with the eyes. It's late and I'm tired, so people in the chat can tell me what it is. The ones with the eyes on the cover,
I don't know. I have no
which I
idea.
DNF'd it. I just was like, I can't. It doesn't work for me. But people love it. Yeah, I don't know why this was the choice. I haven't seen any raving reviews about this.
Oh, Shatter
So
Me.
Shatter Me, thank you. Yeah, if you're gonna pick, but you know why they didn't do Shatter Me?
Why?
Because it's a YA girl romance melodrama, and they don't want to put those on the list. And
Ugh.
this is about the serious 9/11 stuff, so that's what we're putting on here.
Oh gosh, I forgot that there was a possibility that she could even show up on this list.
Yeah. Both
I
of
mean,
her
yeah,
books were on that fantasy list, and I'm still upset about it. They put Children of Virtue and Vengeance on, which was a horrible book.
that book is horrible. That book is horrible.
I did like the first one, but the second one was not good.
Y'all, I don't think she's ever gonna write that third book, by the way. Oh, I hate it. Yeah, Brandy, I hate it.
We both we read it around the same time, and
We
we were both
did.
like, no,
It was
it
horrible.
was not good. I've heard this is good. I have not read it, but I know a lot of people love it. You know what?
You know what?
I
Yeah, I
wish
wish
I
it
had
was.
stopped. It
Yeah, I
should be
wish
a
it was.
stand.
I wish it was.
You know,
Yeah, I've heard great things about Darius the Great. It's not okay.
same.
Yeah,
I
I've heard
know
great things about it.
Audrey really is into
Yes.
the book.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes.
I've heard
Yes.
amazing things. I haven't
Yes.
read it, but I've heard
Oh my
amazing things.
gosh. There's so many things. First of all, a lot of people probably did not get into the Astonishing Color of After because it does read like literary fiction. Um, but my goodness, I loved this book. I thought this book was fantastic. It deals so much with mental health, um, representation to the point that it's the way that this story goes is crazy. Grieving, mental health, and oh my goodness gracious. It was just, man, I can't rave about the Astonishing Color of After enough. And I definitely feel like more people need
Yeah.
to read. Yeah, more
Look,
people need to read that one.
Jamie, I am with you. I struggle with books about grief, and I rarely, if ever, read them because it's a lot. But I
Yeah.
have heard. I mean, I believe that it's an amazing book. I just I don't
It was so good.
know.
Oh man, that book is so good.
I love this book. I've read it twice. It's so good.
My favorite out of her three, though,
I've not read her latest one, but this
Clap
is
When
my
You
favorite.
Land.
Okay, I haven't read Clap When You Land yet, but this book.
I like The Poet X well enough. It is a very, very good book, but I like Clap When You Land better.
Interesting.
And I'm not a fan of With Fire on High. I mean, it's a solid book, but it is not her strongest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like Fire on High, all right. I haven't read Clap When You Land, but this is like this book would probably make my top 50 favorite books. Like
Mhm.
I really love this book a lot.
Mm.
I don't know. I think it really like I identified with some of the stuff in it a lot, and so. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Clap When You Land, I don't like. It was brilliantly written.
Mm-hmm. This was okay.
I haven't read it, but I would. My gut tells me no.
I don't. It's there. I had mixed. It was a mixed thing. Like there were things I liked about it and things I didn't.
Yeah.
But she's married to Nicola, or I mean, he is married to Nicola Yoon, who is on the panel for the thing.
I wouldn't put this on the list.
No, I wouldn't either. Some choice.
Yeah. Another good teen graphic novel.
Yeah, everybody seems to love this one.
Yeah, Laura Dean keeps breaking up with me.
Everyone's like, she put her husband in there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Like a Love Story. Have you read this one?
I haven't. No. You know what the problem with this list is like most of what I read is like sci-fi, fantasy, romance, like, and for
This is very
especially YA, it's like
contemporary.
it's very contemporary, which
It is.
I read a little, but not a lot.
Yeah, it is very contemporary heavy.
Yeah.
It is extremely contemporary heavy, actually.
Probably because the author, it's because the authors they chose are contemporary heavy.
Yeah. They are the ones on the panel. Yeah. Everybody on that panel. I mean,
they all write contemporary.
Adam writes fantasy, but that's not.
But it's like contemporary fantasy. It's not really fantasy. It reads his stuff reads like contemporary with like a little bit of a speculative element. So.
I was wondering if Pet was going to be on this list. To be honest,
this is on my TBR.
Brilliant. It is brilliant. I questioned whether it was going to be on this list because of, stuff that had been going on between them and Chimamanda, and whether that was going to play into any decisions, but it definitely deserves a spot on this list. I need to reread it. It's been a minute since I've read it.
Yeah. I agree that Binti is great, but it's adult. It's not YA.
And Okorafor is she not adamant about it not being classified as YA?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely adult.
Okay. With the Fire on High.
I wouldn't put this on the list. Like I liked it, but she's on the panel.
I wouldn't put this on the list. I wonder what year did they stop at?
Oh, well, I know for fantasy it was like stuff that had published like the month it came out.
Okay, so they went as high as 2020, clearly.
Yeah, they'll probably go to 2021. I've heard amazing things about this book. I've not read it yet, but
I haven't read it yet either.
But everyone seems to rave about it.
Yeah, Clap When You Land is. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, similarly, everybody seems to be loving this. Well, not everybody. That's not true. A lot of people seem to be. But Kaysen is on the panel.
On the panel.
Yeah.
I was about to say this is not Kaysen's only YA book.
No, but it's the
No,
one that's more
more prominent.
liked.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, so yes,
Yes,
this is so good.
yes.
So good.
Um, okay, I'm just gonna keep going, and then I'm just gonna keep going.
I've heard this is good.
I have a copy of it. I have not read it yet, though.
Yeah, that's true. There's like no sci-fi on this list at all.
Tracy
Um,
Chimney, We're Not
not
Free.
really.
That
Okay.
was longlisted for the National Book Award, I believe.
Okay.
hmm Um,
People are saying they loved the Henna Wars.
okay.
Yeah, people seem to really like
Night Heather.
that. Yes, this was great. I thought this was really cute. I mean, I best I don't know, but like I did really like it, and I do think it's nice to see like some sapphic romances in YA.
Wait, this. I'm looking at this bar, and I'm getting very disgruntled. This scroll bar at the fact that okay, Firekeeper's Daughters definitely,
Yeah,
definitely. Um, is that it?
is that it? Okay.
Okay, so we're just going to ignore. I'm really shocked right now. Like I think I'm legitimately
There's so much missing.
so we're just going to leave out so much important fantasy,
Science fiction. I
science
mean,
fiction.
fantasy, romance. Like there's like a little bit of some speculative stuff, but not a lot. Like there's just I, yeah. There's well, and also like horror, like thrillers and horror and stuff. Like there's been some great things coming out with that. Like this is not. I don't. I it and also like someone had mentioned earlier, would the bells be on here? I think that would have been actually a good one for influential. That's not like there's no Danielle Clayton, there's
We
no
hunt the
tiny
flame.
tiny pretty things. We hunt the flame. Like there's a you know
I'm literally like
this is
I'm
interesting.
literally shocked right now.
Yeah, I I think the problem is that like all the authors they pick pretty much write mostly contemporary YA. Yeah, there's not teen horror. Yeah, there's like very little sci-fi, fantasy, horror, romance. Like it's mostly serious. It's predominantly serious contemporary YA.
I mean, if you even think about the fantasy that came out last year,
Cemetery Boys. Oh yeah,
Cemetery Boys, a
yeah.
song, even though a song of Wraiths and Ruins was not my favorite. I
Hmm.
mean,
Well, or
Raybearer,
Raybearer.
like these violent delights, like I'm legitimately sitting here like confused as to
Yeah,
Legendborn.
Legendborn,
I
which has also been an award winner. Like, yeah, this is not a great list.
that list is horrible.
This is not. Yeah, like what happened?
Oh, that book is horrible. I mean, that list is horrible. I mean, I get them not pulling anything from 2021. That's understandable.
Yeah,
But
there was a lot from last year and the year before. Like this is
I ah
yeah,
yeah. Um
I'm not.
I was getting worried as we kept going, like, down and down and down, and then that scrolling bar got
Yeah.
smaller. I was like,
There's also like there's no Renee Audier on the list. There's no
that's a mess and a half.
there's yeah. There's a lot missing.
And then, wow,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
Okay. Well, this was interesting.
That's a bummer. That was a huge
Well,
bummer.
Isabella, they can't put Holly Black because she's friends with Cassie Clare and she writes romance for teen girls. So,
Yeah, you were
like,
not gonna
that's
see Holly Black.
you're out.
Yeah, you're not gonna see Holly Black on that list.
It does feel kind of like elitist, and I don't know. I'm not pleased with the list, but
No Julie Kagawa.
yeah.
All right, y'all. Hate to end
Well,
this on such a disappointing note. However,
they
where
said
was
no
Libba
fantasy
Bray?
romance. Yeah. Libba Bray, yeah. Well, and like her earlier series was pretty big deal for YA too.
The
The Great and Terrible
The
Beauty.
Great and Terrible Beauty.
Yeah, like that was yeah, they just basically said we're not doing fantasy romance. I think that's pretty much what it is. like
And you've got people making this list that really don't read that much YA.
no.
Or don't read YA. They clearly are not reading a lot of YA fantasy sci-fi.
No, Slay. Oh yeah, Slay by
Oh,
Brittany
Slay, how
Miller.
could I
Oh
forget
my
about
god.
Slay?
How do you not put that on there? Look.
Jeez. You want to talk about importance of seeing yourself in a book.
Mm-hmm.
All right, y'all. Like I
Okay.
said, hate to end this on such a sour note. However, it is almost 12 o'clock our time.
Yeah, it's late.
It's late. So thank you for being here
Yeah.
and partaking in the disappointment.
I'm glad we
I
could
will
do it
not be
together.
making, yeah, I'm glad, first of all, thank you for coming so we
Yeah.
could do this together and be disappointed together. I, 9 times out of 10, am not going to be making, I know when I did a reaction to the 100 books that everyone should read before they die, I probably will not do 100. I know people were asking me to do 45 or 50 books, YA books that I think everyone should read. I probably will end up doing that list,
Mm-hmm.
but it will not be 100. It will not be 100. But thanks for joining us. It was good to go live. I
Yeah.
haven't been live in a very long time. And we'll catch y'all later. Bye.
Bye.